$5.99 times 100, that's about $60K. So what does she need this money for? She thought this was going to be a big lump sum, big payday. She launches this.
What the hell?
Oh.
And as a guy who's launched stuff before, what you want to do is you want to launch something new and everybody goes, we love it, which is what happens to me almost 100% of the time. It really hurts if you launch something and everybody is not only not into it, but accusing you of being a scammer.
Even seeing one accusation really hurts the old feelings.
So she takes to Instagram after seeing these negative comments, and there are many more than that. Those were just a sampling of the negative comments. And she decides to turn on the waterworks. Yep.
Oh, no.
The girl tears come out. We've got video of this. She starts crying on Instagram. And let me tell you, this worked. It got some people back on her side. Would you like to see Michaela crying? Now, she is doing this in what's called a brassiere. She decided to do this video while in her bra. A lot of guys see a crying girl with the red lipstick, the blonde hair, and a bra, and they're going, oh, let me just come over there. Oh, it's okay, Michaela. You know what? Here's the 600. So let's see this. The bad Boris K. I said this.
That's the good Boris K.
You know, but the bad Boris K, when he heard about this lion's lair, there's a scene of the bad Boris K going to his local ATM, putting in his card, entering his thing, and then hitting the button that says, would you like to see your available account balance? He was short $3.
Oh.
He had $5.96.
He really wanted to be in it.
And the ATM fee just put him over. He couldn't get it.
Her hair looks good here, though.
Let's see. Here she is crying. Let's see if she won any of you guys back.
So I got a bunch of flack yesterday for making a group. Lions Lair, I'm linking it.
I love how she says this. Wait, listen to this. So I got a bunch of flack yesterday for making a group Lions Lair.
That's not what the flack was
This
about.
is your giant big moment. First of all, this would be like such a casual way to update people. So I got a bunch of flack for making a group Lions Lair. See how stupid that sounds? Do I need to like really spell that out? Listen how dumb this sounds.
So I got a bunch of flack yesterday for making a group Lions Lair, I'm linking it, and
I got a bunch of flack. Update about how am I doing? Well, yesterday I got a bunch of flack for making a group Lions Lair.
Normally, when there's a company launch that costs a ton of money to join, it's a big event in your life.
Yeah, and everybody knows about
making a group.
So listen to this.
So I got a bunch of flack yesterday for making a group Lions Lair, I'm linking it, and making the price point high to get in. And I was feeling kind of guilty about it.
Oh.
But then today I made the group live, and the stories, like some of the stories people have, are totally overwhelming.
And they made it okay that they spent 600. What she's trying to do is being like, but the stories you had about how much you're suffering are so great. Okay, so you should give them free access. Now they're suffering and they need to come up with $600. That's worse. I don't understand. This would only work on a complete read to say, listen, I felt guilty about charging you so much, but your stories about how sick you are really good. So I thank you. What? Give them free access if you feel so horrible about their health. I don't understand this. This doesn't, the 2 and 2 don't add to 4.
But then today I made the group live, and the stories, like some of the stories people have, are totally overwhelming. Like, it's really easy to take your health for granted once you're better. I haven't had severe symptoms of autoimmune disorder or mood problems in a very long time. And you forget pain when you don't have any. So I don't really care if I get the flack for the group. I still think it was a good idea, and I think it'll bring support to some people who need it. And I'm thankful for being reminded of how hard some people have it.
What?
The other thing about this group is it's actually going to enable me to have some passive income so that I can spend more money producing content.
Spend more money producing content. Okay, that's great. But the content that she's put out, it's all filmed on an iPhone in her bedroom. Information, it doesn't need to be produced any better than that. You've put out how many talks, how many videos, it's all there. What else must we need to know? So what do you need this 60 grand for to produce what content? And believe me, we're going to make sure you produce this content now. Now you really got to produce some baller ass content.
Haven't put out this microbiome video that I wanted to put out a while ago that a whole bunch of people have been reaching out saying like, I'm in the hospital with issues. And I actually
just tell us now. Don't hold the secrets back for cash. Just tell us, what does the microbiome thing do? Well, you just eat meat. Okay. Is there anything else I should do? Stick to eating meat.
Jeez.
Okay.
Quiet night.
So don't use that money for a video. I'd rather you go to Barbarians, get a nice steak. I'd honestly rather her spend it on herself than throw it away making fake videos about microbionisms.
And I haven't had time to put it together because I don't have assistants or anything, and I have a different job. So the money is...
Listen to that. I don't have time to put the videos together. That's why I need this money. I have a different job. How are you going to have
time to answer 100 people a day on all their meat questions?
Exactly. You're making this even harder.
So the money is going to be reinvested into making more content.
This is like I was in a mental hospital once. I was in a mental hospital once, and I had a friend of mine bust me out. So he showed up to the mental hospital with a gun, and he goes, everybody get out! Busted me out, took me out. We get into the car, and we're fleeing away from the mental hospital, and we're on the run for like 3 days, right? And I haven't eaten. I'm starving, and I've got nothing. I'm still wearing my hospital gown, for God's sakes. And I go, please, can we get some food? And he goes, I don't have any money. And I go, what do you mean you don't have any money? What the hell? And he goes, well, I spent all my money on the gun, the bullets, the gas. And I go, shut up, enough. And this reminded me, the way she said it was exactly like how my friend said it when I said, why don't you have any money for food? He said, I spent all the money on the gun and the bullets and the car gas. Well, okay, now what do we do? So let's hear that again. She spent all her money on what?
Going to be reinvested into making more content. So yeah. Anyway, I'm over my tear fest, but holy cow, do some of those people have intense things they're getting through. But I kind of appreciate the...
Jesus, lady. Talk about disingenuine. What up? So fools are dragging ass getting in today, so we're just going to react to some vegan debates for a little bit. Boom. This one in French.
By choosing not to eliminate yourself, you're effectively taking resources that something else could be taking. You are denying something else the ability to exist. You're being selfish, and you're being immoral. If we're arguing moral obligations, killing yourself would be the most moral thing to do. So why wouldn't killing yourself be the moral obligation?
Hey, Joey. Pleasure to meet you. My name's Ed. And as you know, there's a banner on the front of this table, and it says, veganism is a moral obligation. You've been listening to some of my other conversations. But what do you think about that statement yourself?
I like eating meat.
Yeah.
And I realize that it is immoral, but I will argue that being vegan is also immoral.
Why is being vegan immoral?
Because I think just the act. So nature is kind of brutal, right?
Sure thing.
Just everything's always eating at each other. Everything's competing to survive.
Yeah.
There's a set amount of resources, and only the fittest can have them, right? Like pretty much nature is immoral, right? Would you agree with that, or?
I think nature is mostly morally neutral in the sense of nature can't determine right from wrong. Nature doesn't have the capacities that we have or the intelligence to rationalize the morality of a certain action. Obviously, when we talk about nature, we're talking about this huge kind of concept, something that isn't, a sentient conscious being, but rather an amalgamation of so many different systems. And so nature itself is incapable of being moral or immoral. But we are, of course, not nature. We may come from nature and, of course, exist within the natural world, although separate.
Well, because so many people so many meatards use this whole lions exist, therefore that completely justifies humans massacring billions of sentient beings. And it's like, I don't know, it's hard to understand these arguments sometimes because they're so
Well, it's so general. I mean, like nature. Like, I mean,
natural.
What he's Ed is sort of, I guess, getting into it here. What is nature? You need to have specific definitions, especially in a debate. I mean, this student is referring to nature as the just way things are outside of humans, I guess. And it's such a broad thing because we could talk about, like, again, yeah, what is natural?
Well, it's like the whole,
word
humans
nature
kill
as an entity?
kill people. So since we're inherently evil, we just need to kill. Therefore, eating animals is completely fine. Like, it's this big slippery slope.
Yeah. Like nature being the state of nature being should guide us in our actions.
Yeah.
That's sort of a total fallacy, because then by his definition, I mean, he's taking the extreme edgy angle of, oh, okay, well then why even exist? The most moral thing to do is kill yourself. That would be, I was just, I lost my train of thought, but yeah. What is nature?
In many ways, but what separates us is the ability to make moral and immoral decisions.
Well, and it's like these people that get so offended by vegans, they're like, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Meatards.
Meatards. No. They have to take veganism to this extreme, which it's not. Like they straw man us by saying, oh, well, you're hurting vegetables by eating vegetables. And it's like vegans understand that, like, this guy's taking this extreme. You might as well just kill yourself then. And it's like, no, well, that's not what we're talking about. We're being reasonable.
And obviously it's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not realistic.
No one's going to leave this table discussion and kill themselves. So
like,
what's the point of even
vegans shouldn't use computers and they shouldn't drive cars then, because you might kill a bug or you might use some energy somewhere that kills some animal. Like, it's this whole extreme that the antis take, that's completely irrational and illogical. And it's like some of the smartest people I know say some of the dumbest things around this subject, defending, the fact that, they're a part of the whole group of meat eaters that
we're getting pretty far ahead. We gotta let the kids
Decisions. Would you agree with that?
To an extent, but I would like to go. So nature is a system, though, right? Where we all survive in our, everything's competing, and as a system, we can judging that system by human standards. That is in a moral system, because
I'm not judging nature. I'm judging by the system that we've created, the system of animal exploitation. I'm not interested in judging what happens out in the wild, which we have no control over and ultimately haven't created. I'm interested in judging the morality of a system that only exists because of what we humans do.
I guess, but I would argue that we exist in nature, and I think
It's
just existing by itself is an immoral thing, looking at it from a human perspective.
Are we allowed to murder because in nature there is murder? Other animals kill the animals of their own species. Can we do the same because it's in nature?
I would say that is immoral, right? Just the act of killing is immoral.
So we have notions of morality, both things that are moral and immoral, outside of the context of what happens in the wild, outside of the context of what happens within our society. We establish that some things within society should be deemed moral and immoral, regardless of whether or not they happen within
who
nature.
just talks and doesn't know what they're talking
So
about.
our consumption of animals, therefore, is not morally justified just because the wild and nature outside of a human context can be brutal. That doesn't provide us a moral justification to be brutal ourselves.
But I'm just saying that because just to exist, right, is an immoral act. That therefore, even if you are vegan, even if you are, limiting your immorality by reducing the amount of suffering you're inflicting. You still are being immoral.
But you've hit the nail on the head there, reducing the amount of suffering that we cause. Unfortunately, what we have here is an appeal to futility, where we say that we either have to kill ourselves or we can do whatever we want. Of course, we're not going to advocate for killing ourselves. That's not going to get us where we want to be. We want to create a world that reduces suffering. And that's what you've said. You've just acknowledged yourself that veganism reduces suffering, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that not make it a moral obligation? Because with the choices that are presented in front of us, it is the morally preferable choice as a result of it reducing suffering.
You predicted pretty much what I was going to say, which was that when by choosing to exist, by choosing not to eliminate yourself, you're effectively taking resources that something else could be taking. You are denying something else the ability to exist. You're being selfish and you're being immoral, right?
But again, we're making an appeal to futility. What you're rationalizing there is the concept that because we can't be perfect, anything we want to do is morally justified because, it's futile to live in a perfect utopia. Just because there will always be suffering, just because we can never live a morally puritanical life devoid of resource extraction, devoid of harm in some capacity, doesn't then justify the maximization of that harm. I think that morally speaking, whilst we can never eliminate suffering, we should seek to reduce suffering.
That's a totally valid point to take, but like I have difficulty kind of taking myself away from that argument because it still is immoral, right? And to say, oh, I'm this amount of moral versus I'm this percentage immoral just seems a little weird to me, if that makes any sense to you.
Okay. So I can go about my day and not harm another human, okay? Yeah. But I'm still living an immoral life. So am I allowed to harm a human then, even though I can avoid doing so, because we live immoral lives?
I mean, yeah, it would make you more immoral.
Okay. So if I can live a life where I don't have to harm a human, and I can live a life where I don't have to harm an animal in the ways that we conventionally do for the food that we consume, if it's morally preferable not to harm a human in the absence of necessity, surely it's morally preferable to not harm an animal in the absence of necessity.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that context, then, if we establish, and this is the only thing we need to establish to, make this statement on the banner correct, if we establish that with the choices that we have, veganism is the morally preferable choice, even though it's not perfect, but is morally preferable, substantially so, then that by default makes veganism a moral obligation.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Ultimately, I still do feel like if we're arguing moral obligations, killing yourself would be the most moral thing to do. So why wouldn't killing yourself be the moral obligation?
How is that relevant?
Because if we do that, we can't seek to create a better world. We can't seek to create a world that reduces suffering. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what we should strive to do is create better systems, create better...
He's like, I should not have sat down at this table.
relationships with humans and non-human animals. And with the life that we have, we can debate the morality of bringing more life into existence. But with the life that you and I have, we should seek to try and create systems and change that implements less suffering in the world. That's what I think, and it's just not a tangible thing, nor is it an ethical thing to talk about taking life. The whole concept of what I'm discussing is the concept of trying to reduce life that is taken, reduce the suffering that is caused. And so really at the end of the day, what we're creating is a really extreme hypothetical option, which isn't really part of the possibilities of what we can do, but we have to eat. And so faced with the option of necessity to eat, we therefore are compelled to make the choices that we can make when it comes to the reduction of the suffering that those choices make. That makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah. Like if you want to be a moral person, veganism is, theoretically more moral than not being vegan. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Where does that leave you then? You're faced with two choices: to pursue an option that you have just accepted is more moral, or to continue doing something which you have accepted is immoral in the context of having another option that is more moral.
Like I said earlier, though, they both seem, immoral to me relative to, I realize
that's not true though, but we're not going around in circles, because you're contradicting yourself. You just said that it's more morally preferable, and now you're saying that it's morally comparable, but it's not morally comparable. You and I have both just established that. So because one
this dude cannot stop fidgeting and moving around in his chair and smiling and smirking
is preferable over the other, regardless of the fact that we can or can't.
He's not even listening. Look at him. Like, does that look like someone who's listening?
Oh my God, he's waiting to leave.
Yeah, he's like, Exit quick.
You know, we can't live a perfect life in the context of the situation that we have today and the recognition that
Why
we've
is he
both
moving
made
his
that
head
the
around
vegan
like
option is the preferable option. What then stops you from making that change?
It would be my immorality and my desire to eat meat.
And does that justify it?
I mean, it's not very justified, but I mean,
What
like I said, I think we live in an immoral system. We've established you cannot be the perfect moral being.
Yes.
There's some immorality in just existing itself.
So are you comfortable maximizing suffering then?
Well, maximizing would be, going around killing hundreds of people, and then
Or potentially tens of billions of animals might be a situation of maximizing suffering.
it is a system where suffering is definitely increased relative to, a vegan society.
And you're comfortable with contributing to a system that increases suffering.
I think you can certainly find ways around to try and minimize the
How do we minimize the suffering to its fullest extent?
Minimal. If you wanted a minute, you would be vegan, right? But if you wanted to work around that, and if you wanted to remain a meat eater while minimizing suffering, you would probably go with the standard options, right?
What, the factory farmed options?
This standard, non-violent would be the non-factory farm options, right?
Do you say non-violent?
It's non-violent. The less bad ones, right? Like
Nicer.
I'm not too into
Nicer killing.
it, so I don't really know much. But I know there's like non-cage stuff, free range stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's still within the system suffering is caused and the moral objections of taking life are still found.
I mean, suffering just exists in life, right?
But we've already established that morally we should seek to reduce suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So
But if you
are
wanna-
you comfortable purchasing products that maximize the suffering that is caused? Are you comfortable purchasing products that increase suffering when you don't have to?
I mean, suffering, right, is just caused by existence, right? If we wanted to decrease suffering, we would kill everything, right? And there would be no more suffering because nothing would exist.
Are you comfortable? Let me ask you the question again. Are you comfortable purchasing products when you don't have to that increase suffering?
I guess so, because I mean, I don't really like eating vegan food.
Okay. So then it comes down to taste, doesn't it? Does sensory pleasure morally justify what we do to animals?
It is immoral. Yeah.
So sensory pleasure doesn't justify it. We've gone round and round, and we're reaching a really nice point of commonality.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It is immoral. Like I said, I'm sure you don't want to argue it, but I would say the most moral thing, killing everything. You can't really do that. So
what can you do?
Looks like a Kennedy.
You can decrease it, like you said. You can be vegan.
Okay.
Um,
All right then. That brings us to the end, obviously, because where else can we go? Where else can we go from here? Except the final question. What's the final question?
What about a system, right? So you justify killing plants because it's like, they're less intelligent than animals. They don't have the same range of feelings, range of whatever, right?
The lack of sentience.
Lack of sentience. What if there was biologically engineered cows where their sentience was reduced to the level of a plant? Would that be moral?
Well, no, because you're tampering with a sentient individual to get to that point. You're genetically manipulating them. When, again, the preferable option would just be to consume the plant. And bear in mind, these animals will still have to be fed, so we're still going to be raising all these plants to do this anyway. But instead, now we've created some sort of morally reprehensible version of a sentient being who we've essentially lobotomized because we're trying to find any excuse possible to cut their throats when we could just pull the plant from the ground like we do now and consume that instead. But what is a hypothetical situation that doesn't exist? So now we're going off on a tangent. We're dealing with what exists in front of us now. That system is not going to exist, thankfully. But the system that does exist now exists, and we have the choice based on what is in front of us today in this modern moment. So what is the final question that I have to ask you?
Of course, I would agree. Like I said, we've agreed on this. It's more and more to eat meat than to eat plants.
So then what holds you back? Why will you make that change from this point on?
I can barely cook for myself, so I just kind of.
Where'd you get your food from now?
So meat.
Just the dining halls.
The dining halls have plant-based options.
I think they have like one at each one. It's kind of iffy, maybe.
But it exists.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd get the full diversity of nutrients if I only ate the vegan dining options here, but.
Well, maybe you have to take matters into your own hands as well then.
But I'm a real lazy guy, but I'll consider it.
Well, yeah. consider it. And I think obviously morally there's an obligation to do it. All right. Thank you so much for a great conversation, Joey. Have a great time. I really appreciate it.
I see everybody. So I try to treat every single thing with respect.
But you're appropriating indigenous culture to
I'm not
justify
appropriating
arbitrarily
indigenous culture.
harming.
I'm appreciating indigenous culture.
Hey Q, nice to meet you. My name's Ed, and today I'm at the University of Dallas with a banner that says, "Why aren't you vegan yet?" You've been listening to a conversation I've just been having.
Yes.
And it seems like you have some questions or some ideas or thoughts. So let me know what you think.
So my first question for you is, what is your opinion on the native tribes such as the Inuit who live up in Alaska who don't have easy access to these fresh produce that you're wanting them to eat and instead rely on the animals they hunt?
Yeah, well, the issue of what we do to animals is an issue of necessity. This question of
For one, they don't live past 50. There's been mummies, Inuit mummies from hundreds of years ago that were autopsied that were found to be rife with heart disease. So this running to the Inuit argument, or the what's that tribe? Maasai. Yeah. They also don't live past 50, and most of the Maasai are eating at McDonald's as Durian Rider would say. So, bro, those guys are going to McDonald's.
Okay, to be precise, to say they don't live past 50 is inaccurate. They have very high rates of heart disease.
Yeah.
I forget what other specifics, but basically
Cardiovascular
Western
disease.
in the Western realm of percentages of these diseases. But yeah, again, humans can survive. Sure, we can survive eating meat. It's not no one's to say that we can't. You know, populations haven't done it, but again, look at health outcomes.
Same old argument, you guys. Like, come up with some new shit. It's like 3-4 arguments everyone has. Oh, what about the freaking Eskimos? Like, what are you talking about?
veganism comes down to the options and choices that we have. So there are obviously people in the world who don't have the availability or the access to be plant-based or to be vegan, who are maybe in tribes and in indigenous communities where they don't have the access that you and I have, where we live with the means that we have. And so as a consequence of that, the morality of that situation is very different because they hunt animals and eat animals out of necessity. But the point of me being here with the banner about why aren't you vegan yet is to draw on the fact that it's about you and I and the situation that we have and the means that we have, which is why it becomes a moral issue for us.
I mean, you talk about, us like we are not part of these indigenous tribes. I mean, these indigenous tribes, yes, they live, out remote away from, civilization, but many of them, they don't see veganism as like, they don't want veganism because they...
What about you?
I don't want to be vegan.
And why don't you want to be vegan?
Because one, I have I'm a neurotic, which means I'm very sensitive to certain things. So I already am, picky about what I eat. And so trying to find like a substitute for the nutrients that I need is very risky. So eating meat that I know, meat that I understand, it helps me that way.
I'm a crazy bitch, therefore meat.
And
However,
I will never change.
I'll never change. I'll never try.
And I'm not
I'll
gonna
never
try,
work
yeah.
on myself.
It's hard, so I'm not going to
So
do
I'm
it.
just gonna eat meat.
Ew.
God.
With these indigenous tribes, they because you have to understand, veganism is very much a white colonized thought. It very much is.
Well, people say that, but then also people say that when you look at the roots of non-harming animals for diets, it's deep-rooted in places like Hindu cultures and Jainist cultures. And so the idea of abstaining from eating animals is very much deep-rooted in kind of like Buddhist, Hindu, and Jainist cultures, and not necessarily in a white colonialist process, at least.
Yes, but like Hinduism, they don't eat cows. They believe cows are sacred, but they eat other meats.
Well, not many don't, and historically many haven't as well. So I'm just saying that it's not strictly true that this idea of non-harm to animals is a strictly white colonialist thought. So I don't know if that holds up historically speaking.
Yeah, historically speaking, it's not. But this sudden boom of veganism is historically colonial. Do you
mean by colonial in this context then?
I mean colonial as in the
You
white
white guy
colonizers,
did
as
it.
in the Europeans
Me.
coming colonizing half the
My
world. I mean, the
family has
Americans
some brown
colonizing
in
the
it.
West. There's a recent surge
So I gotta eat
in,
meat.
you know, white liberals who believe they're doing
That's
good and who believe,
what I tell
you
you.
know, such as, you know, you and I. And I'm not saying vegan is bad. Veganism is not bad. If you want to be vegan, be vegan.
Yeah, cool.
But when it comes to pressuring other people who don't want this and who have different beliefs. For instance, are you aware of the view of cosmocentrism?
No, you explain it to me.
So cosmocentrism is a worldwide view believed by many of its indigenous tribes in which everything is equal to each other. Me, you, the trees, the grass, the water, the rocks, the animals are all equal to each other. And animals hear us and they understand us. And so with many people, such as the not the Inuit tribe, there's another tribe in Alaska, starts with a K, I can't remember at the moment. They believe that the earth was made by the raven. Their god, to put it in terms, is a raven.
Yeah.
But they hunt elk and they hunt moose.
Yeah.
But they don't just hunt them, they respect the animal. They take everything from the animal and they thank the animal.
Yeah.
And they thank the animal in several ways. They don't
Got
talk
Moody
about
Lou
hunting
here.
moose. They just say, I'm going to go out. Because they know the moose hears them. And if they say, I'm going to go hunt moose, the moose hears that and says, they are not worthy to have me.
Oh, okay.
They are not worthy to eat me.
Yeah.
And so it hides.
Because they presumably don't want to be killed if they're going to be alerted to that. But the point that I'm making is that I'm not in those areas of the world talking to indigenous people in those areas. I'm talking to people here. And whilst we may make the argument that when we look at the rise of veganism as a popular cultural thing, it's kind of emerging from places in Europe, Australia, and the US. Actually, when you look at the growth rates of veganism, in America, one of the biggest demographics in terms of adopting veganism are African Americans. And so to make the claim that it's a strictly white colonialist thing doesn't hold up, especially as white vegans aren't going to indigenous communities in Alaska and aren't trying to impose that on them. I'm here in Dallas talking to people like yourself.
Physically, but through social media, there has been a push of people saying, Inuit tribes who hunt beluga whales, which are not endangered in any way. People are saying that's wrong. You can't do that. And they say that is our only source of nutrients.
But at the same time, what can be easy to do, especially when we have views about a certain group of people, is we can take people from that group who kind of maybe portray views that could be considered extremist or views that could be considered impractical. And we can use those to try and almost, caricature the whole movement itself. And so I'm not going to disagree that there are certain vegans who will make that claim. But by and large, most vegans, including myself, have a more of a nuanced understanding that there are people in the world who have a different relationship based on the environment that they live in. And hence, I'm not going to make the claim that people who are hunting belugas out of necessity to survive should be held to the same moral standard that you and I can with the choices that we have. And that's what's important.
You say moral standard because you're saying that them hunting beluga is morally wrong.
No. I'm saying in a situation of necessity, it's different. Like with humans. If I said, shooting a human is morally wrong, it is. But if you have to shoot a human out of necessity, then it becomes morally justified. So I can say harming an animal is morally wrong, but if you have to harm the animal to survive, then it can become justified. So issues of morality are always nuanced based on the circumstances. But by and large, the general rule should be, if we can avoid causing unnecessary harm to someone, morally speaking, we should try to pursue that option. What do you think about that?
I mean, I fully agree. And so my question is just, why are you here asking these people why we're not vegan? What is your reason for that?
Because it's a thing that we don't often think about. It's an idea that most of us don't kind of consider when we're buying food. And most of us in society are against animals being unnecessarily harmed. And so morally speaking, we already agree that reducing suffering for animals is morally preferable. But when we go into a supermarket or onto an ordering app or whatever, and we buy food, we don't really think about the process of what we're supporting because, it's culturally normalized. We've been raised with that. And so the purpose of me being here isn't with this kind of naive opinion that everyone's going to sit down, agree with me and be like, hey, I'm going to be vegan now. But it's to try and maybe ask questions and talk about topics that people maybe haven't considered and to kind of get maybe a deeper reflection on those values and ideas, because it is a moral issue. And morally, we do agree with reducing suffering. It's just that we haven't always thought about the suffering that occurs for our food that we consume.
Okay. So I know because I was raised in the Texas education system. Yeah. I'm sure many people here were.
I'm sure.
We were all taught high school, health class or whatever, how fast food was made. And they show us the slaughter camps and all of that of the animals and whatnot. And they try to traumatize us and whatnot. And
we just looked up Eskimo diet health facts and stuff like that, and it said that the Eskimo diet, the Inuits' diet were so dismal that introducing the Western diet actually made them healthier. So this myth that they're only sick because of the Western diet now is completely BS. And like I said earlier, there's a study, you can go look it up. They dug up a bunch of mummy Inuits and they were completely filled with heart disease. So, you know, you guys can keep just denying it, Lubass.
Huh. If your body's constantly in a state of like fear and death, you know, like anything, standard American diet's probably gonna be a lot better in comparison. You at least have balance, whatever that is.
The whole affluence argument, also, you kind of have to, it's a little bit more nuanced. Like places where people smoke cigarettes, people are more healthy too. So it's like, you know, it's a little weird, but yeah, these are just, it's so funny that everybody runs to that Inuit argument. Cause, you know,
it doesn't really hold up when you start to pick it apart.
Yeah. And it's like, why do you want to be throwing around facts that aren't true?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty weak.
I mentioned one of the comments pretty recently. I said something like, do we need to like start keeping official track records so we can see like, you know, this has already been debunked. We're done with that one. Push that off.
Well, that's what debates are for, and that's what we did with Garland Farms. Like we now all know, because me and Allie spent freaking 80 hours doing research, and Chris Hines has done months of research. We all know that for a fact now, and we can't, you know, like we all know that now because we've gone down that road. It's just these guys don't like debating.
Yeah. They gotta be willing to admit when they're wrong too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard for humans to admit that we're wrong, you know? Like, I get it.
Yeah. When you're endangering people, that's another thing. What's up, John Bob?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
How are you healing?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor today and they looked at everything. I was getting all raw between my fingers, so they took it off and rewrapped it, put more gauze in there to keep everything dry, keep it from sweating. So that's kind of nice. But it's going to take a couple weeks.
That's cool.
They want to do surgeries on 2 of my arms now, and I'm not sure about that. We'll see.
Ah! Yeah, that's scary.
Surgery is always better to avoid if you can.
Yeah, I was thinking about starving myself for a couple weeks and seeing what autophagy would do.
Huh. I don't know. It's kind of a tricky one because your body might need the nutrients to sort of, you know, the nutrition to sort of repair, but autophagy does have some benefits. I don't know enough to where I can recommend anything though.
Well, it'll eat all the bad stuff. And I mean, I flood my body with about 4,000 calories of nutrients a day. I'm not deprived of anything. I'm a raw vegan. I have been for 5 years. My biggest problems are all the old toxins and shit from, I grew up eating an American diet. I got so sickly at the end there, I couldn't even find my fucking car in a parking lot. It was just brain fog. It's disgusting what they teach us to do to ourselves. They just target us.
That is true.
Yeah.
Drug dealing's legal as long as the government's getting paid, though. You know, that's kind of the thing.
Yep.
It's got to be their racketeering operation. They got to control it.
They just legalized pot in Minnesota. Fucking after 40 years of ruining lives. I was a pothead kid. They fucking used to pull me over fucking 5 times a week in the town I was from. They just harassed the ever living shit out of me, would pull me over, search me constantly. And now it's legal. Not now, as long as the government gets their cut, no big deal. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that whole decriminalization versus legalizing argument. Like, I used to be one of the advocates for the whole legalize it because I was into the whole, the dumb side of stoner culture. I kind of subscribed to that for a while, and then I started to realize, it's not actually all it's cracked up to be, because they're gonna monopolize it essentially.
Honestly,
we had decriminalized weed in California for like 15 years, and then the smart California voters decided to legalize it, and now there's all these laws on the books and revenue being generated, and yeah, it's pretty dumb. Taxes.
I'm sure it's driven price
taxes.
up. Huh? Did it drive price up?
Oh yeah. Significantly, and the quality went down too.
Stupid.
And then the feds tried to flood the market with weed last couple years. Things went from 2,000 a pound to 200 a pound. They're trying to force out all the growers in California
Black market
by flooding the black market and lowering the price to make it not economically feasible anymore. And so we're just in the rebound of that. But yeah, legalizing weed was a tragedy in California. We had it so good. There were no laws on the books about marijuana for, I think it's 13, 14 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, everybody talked really highly of you guys on that subject for over a decade there. I guess I hadn't followed what had happened the last couple of years. That's shitty.
Yeah, I have a video of me talking to one of the guys that petitioned to have it all done. We have a big, very heated argument over it because he had quite a lot of emotion invested in the fact that he helped legalize weed in California. And when I told him what that actually did, he had a freaking meltdown. It's a pretty funny video, but
I'm sure it's traumatic. The guy thinks he's doing something good and then finds out that he was helping terrorists control people.
Yeah.
Did his frontal lobe shut down? Could you see during the conversation when he stopped listening and stopped?
No, dude, you gotta watch. I'll send you the link to the video. It's really funny. He does all this self-soothing. Like he goes through all the body language of someone just completely fucking he was really traumatized by that conversation. He's never talked to me again. And it was someone this dude made a video about the libertarian and anarchist, his early on before I'd ever, when I was in this stuff, but I wasn't vegan yet again. He made a video where he was just pointing out all the subsidies and all that stuff. And I was just like, holy shit. Veganism's more in line with anarchy than I thought, and so I was just like that, that just helped me. Cause I was always expecting to go back to being vegan, but that what really helped. And he made a really good video and he was a really cool dude, but he just could not, he was so personally offended when I delivered that information to him. And then he pulled up some chart about, that he was completely he didn't know what he was looking at when he had the chart up. And I was like, dude, no, the chart is proving what I'm telling you. And he's just complete denial, totally in denial. It's really crazy. But he never talked to me again.
That chart.
I think we had an argument about dinosaurs after that, not dinosaurs not being real, and he could not hang anymore, and he never talked to me again.
It's man, what if he's right about this too? I can't take this.
Yeah, some people just they can't deal with the conspiracy theory limits. People just can't
I don't know. I keep hearing that dinosaurs aren't real, and I guess there's one hell of an argument behind it. Honestly, I'm at the point in my life where fucking all this shit I research just gets proven real. And honestly, I just don't give a fuck. And if dinosaurs are fake, I want to think they're real, kind of. So, I'll just leave well enough alone and just keep fucking fighting for what I'm fighting for. I want to keep writing my book, and fucking I'm hoping to have my book done by the end of this year. That's my goal. I want to start it and get things rolling. Fucking, I want to start fighting for freedom on a much larger level.
Sick, bro.
Yeah, dude. Fucking, there's, I don't know. Everybody keeps trying to do the exact same fucking things and wondering why they don't get results. Me, I want to use their laws against them and fucking attack them in a way they can't defend against. And that means writing a specific book that's fucking geared to fucking fight and destroy them and use legal rights that they give us to use against them using the book. I'm literally creating a religion. What better way? We have religious freedom according to our fucking constitution. Religious freedom's recognized almost worldwide. You could use that as a fucking hammer to bash over their heads. It literally says in the book 1,000 times, we are not property. We do not consent to being born property. So people can contest their governments claiming they own them. We're sick of the gang mentality. It covers it all. It covers fucking every law I could fucking think of, So.
Yep. They definitely, we know about that stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal. They keep bashing us over the head with these hammers, and then everybody's like, we don't need no hammers to fight back with. It's like, fuck you. We need weapons, Like, why people don't want to have tools and resources, You wouldn't believe the number of fucking anarchists that told me this is a bad idea, But it covers our mother being our fucking deity in the book, how she gives us life and how she feeds us and provides everything for us. Our mother's the earth, That's our fucking deity, and
What's it called when your birthday is actually your day of inception? Braxton, you know that, right?
I remember hearing something about that, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I like the idea of that.
Day of your inception.
Basically, to give yourself a different birthday than the state has given you, which you don't even know is real because you weren't aware enough back then so you don't really know, and for all you know, your parents lied about your birth date. So there's no, as far as your birthday being something that can be used legally is kind of really wishy-washy. But the idea of like changing your birthday to your inception date, just going back 9 months and trying to figure out, that being your actual birthday.
Time counts. The organism existed. That would prove the government doesn't even know anybody's birthday. And it's a factual statement. That's pretty good. Who came up with that?
I mean, you could go into any court. I mean, you could go into court and basically tell them you aren't who they think you are, because you have, you're like, I don't know, my mom was kind of, a liar. How can we, believe what she said? It was a long time ago. They don't even remember. I asked my dad. He doesn't even remember, like you can totally, like it's ultra wishy-washy. And you're basically, when you show up to court, you're allowing yourself to be a part of their system. There's a lot of interesting stuff that you can do, especially as a single male who doesn't have a family or kids or anything. You can definitely skirt a lot of stuff. Just buying cheap cars and driving them with expired plates, and if you really want to take that hard line of a stance against the system and not want to support or give them your money in any way whatsoever. There's definitely lots of things you can do.
Yeah, I gotta find out.
I've
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I gotta find out more about all that stuff because I don't know, the stuff like Wizard and some of these other people talk about like staying out of the courtroom in general because you should be able to handle it by mail and all this other kind of stuff. Like that would be really useful for being able to at least make a kind of stand without having to go in and subject yourself to the possibility of not walking out of the courtroom. That stuff gets pretty sketchy.
Well, allegedly, if once you go beyond the gate and sit down, that then you are presenting yourself. You can walk into the courtroom and talk to the judge from beyond that, and it like legally isn't binding. And I watched this one video of this guy going in. He had a warrant for child support. And he heard about it, so he went to the court, and from like the seating area, he addressed the judge and said all this gnarly shit and was just like, remind the judge of this statute of being an indentured servant is illegal in the country. You're not supposed to, it's slavery basically. And like you cite all these things and you're basically explaining that they're making you an indentured servant until, the child's 18 or whatever. And that's not legal. And like, not, he is not showing them. So like it was a pretty interesting video. I'll try and find it. But
share that with me. I would love to
like
that.
Yeah, you had to have never signed anything or never gone to court to begin with, because the second you go in and sign anything, you're screwed, because you're basically saying that you're allowing them to twist the Constitution in a way to work this disagreement out between you and the other parent, which it's the family court system is really, really ridiculous. But sometimes, useful, I guess, maybe. But what's that?
I said, fuck those guys. Not useful at all, man. They forced me to buy my fucking ex drugs, fucking nails, tattoos, and hair. I got it down to the minimum now, though.
California is like, it's completely different in California. It's wild.
No, I live in Minnesota. What's it like in California?
If you don't have a record, then they treat you as if you're the mother.
Really?
Yeah. They do. I couldn't believe everything. I mean, I went through the gnarliest shit you could have ever imagined in family court. I went through, and the Department of Children, whatever, DCFS, which is, what do they used to be called? It's not social services, but
Department of Human Services.
Yes, yeah. Department of, yeah. They were like, they treated me like I was a client the whole time. Like they were like, really freaking reasonable with me. And I'm covered in tattoos. I'm an anarchist. I have all these videos online of me, talking about the government and whatever. They tried everything. And the judge I got was pretty reasonable. My kid's mom tried to use all this like libertarian shit against me, and the judge looked at me and he was like, he's allowed to be anti-authoritarian. I was like, oh, cool. So I have no problem with that. I was like, wow. Yeah, like it was the worst experience I've ever been through in my life, but I was not treated like my situation was not like any situation I'd ever heard before of just fathers getting chewed up in the system. It does help if you don't have a record, and I don't have a record. So it's always when drugs or jail and stuff is involved, when like they really just like, they're like, well, they like, there's not much they can help you with when you're a father. but it was very different in California, and they're trying to model the rest of the country with the system that they're using here in California now. Just completely, I was shocked. Like, I was absolutely shocked how much I was listened to, and how much you just hear all the stories for years. Oh, that father's getting their kids taken away and all this stuff, and you think like, but it was very different here. But I'm in a very liberal state where they let people steal shit from stores and stuff. So
and then gotten a lot more lenient over the recent years, looks like.
Yeah, having to go to court is pretty gnarly. I was like, after like 3 years of that, I was like, man, I'm gonna be like a father's rights lawyer or something. Like, this shit's nuts. Like, the system is just crazy.
I went through 13 years, man. 13 years of a custody battle, and I lost because I taught my kid to peacefully protest, and because I had American soldiers threatening me. Yeah. The judge claimed that these veterans were going to attack me and burn down the house with me and my son in it, and that my son was in danger because government employees were threatening me.
That's pretty fucked up.
He didn't see a problem with that?
What?
I said he didn't see a problem with that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the government employees committing felonies, like fucking, it's my fault because I use words saying I don't consent to being government property. And because here's the thing, I got really, really virally famous because I took my kid and fucking, instead of me being a pissed off black guy burning a flag while fucking looting a city, I was a calm white father, and I held my I held my 10-year-old son, and I sat with him, and I told him, I said, we are not property. I said, despite being born property, you're not property. I said, you're a person, and I said, you are a slave, but don't ever consent to being a slave. And I
How old was your kid when this happened?
About 10.
Okay.
And I wiped my ass with the flag, and I said, this flag represents a government that assumes ownership over you. And I said, that's not okay. And I had him stomp on the flag, and then I burned it. And I said, we're not property, dude, And I got real famous in a country full of terrorists claiming they fight for freedom as they want to deprive me of my speech or my expression, or, So.
Dang, that sucks. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's a message that I still support. I mean, we're not fucking property. I never consented to being property. Just because some American soldier claims he fought for my freedom of speech as he deprives me of my speech. You didn't fight for shit, dude. You just fucking believed the lies, you were tricked. My dad himself, he fucking killed himself because of war. And he used to tell my mom, if you knew what I did, you wouldn't love me anymore. Well, instead of making the same decisions my 3 siblings make, I learned from my father's mistake. That's my way of saying, I love you, Dad. Like, I'm going to take the time to learn from your mistakes. I'm not going to say I love you by making the same mistakes or perpetuating the same mistakes. I'm not going to teach my kids to be fucking terrorists and get themselves psychologically hurt working for the government, I teach my kids, this is wrong. This is broken. You're not, don't be part of this, But yeah, the judge really didn't like me, I mean, he literally works for the system and like I said, I'm not a regular anarchist. I'm actually fucking moderately famous because of my fucking behavior, So he really wanted to set an example of me, I think. Pretty sad.
Yeah, I saw everything, like these judges, especially in family court, they're not doing things by the law. they're doing things by how they feel about the two people. Like they want to give the kid to the person who's more reasonable, you know, and like it was like, I don't know, like he would sometimes just like outburst at me, like he'd just yell at me for something, and like I could tell he was testing me. He was seeing if I would get a temper, you know, like he would do. It was always like kind of testing me in different ways, and like I mean he was testing both of us, and like, you know, my kid's mom just kept failing like over and over again. So it was like, you know, after a while, you know, it was pretty obvious what was going on. But it was, I don't know, like you know, there were times I didn't like him, and there were times that I was like, you know, when, you know, when it's like your kid that you hang out with, you know, like every day, and they're gone all of a sudden, and you're like dealing with all these people. It's really crazy. Like I've never had anxiety in my life until I went to family court and I finished all my paperwork. Like I finished all the paperwork. I talked to everyone. I went to court, you know, like I did everything I could to get my kid back, and I didn't get my kid back. And it was like, once I finished all the paperwork and it was just a waiting game, like I just got like, it was the first time I've ever had anxiety where I was just like fucking like, oh, like I didn't know what to do. Like it was really a terrible experience, but like, you know, it's tough. Family court stuff's really tough.
Well, that's weird because they have a system that's like set up to where, you know, the laws are supposed to be straightforward. There's not supposed to be that whole color of law where like their egos can get in the way and they can just, you know, make whatever decisions just based on how they're feeling that day. And you should be able
we both didn't have a record, you know, like we're both like, you know, because usually it's like, oh, someone's had DUIs, you know, and it's like easier for them to be all right, leave it, you know, leave the girl with the daughter, you know, with the mom, leave the kid with the mom, it's like they want to just defer to that. But like when they're dealing with people that don't have problems like that, you know, it's harder for them. So they just got to kind of like feel you out. Like I went in there the first day and I was like, tell this bitch to give my kid back. Like, you know, and he's like, I don't even know you, you know. Little did I know 3 years later, you know, we'd still be in court. It was nuts. It was a lot of energy, and I drove my poor girlfriend at the time, but drove her completely nuts. Like that's all I could talk about for a long time, you know. Like I was completely fully in like court getting my kid back mode, and it's not fun. They were making me pay some lady to follow us around while we hung out at a park, the same park over and 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 over again. $100 an hour for 3 hours a week. $100 an hour for 3 hours a week.
Man,
hang out with my daughter.
Having a nanny.
And like, if you don't do it, they're like, oh, this guy's not willing to spend money to hang out with his daughter. You know, like it's like they test you. Yeah. It's all these tests.
Keep making.
I got one visit with that person and I failed it miserably because my attorney, nobody told me, like, this person's supposed to be an investigator for your kid. You know what they investigate? How you interact with your kid when you're around. Well, fucking, I'm coming out of fucking years of trauma. I have over 30 statements with her getting gangbanged in front of the kid, guns getting shot through the kid's wall at her house, gang and drug activity.
By the way, the last video, the last show got demonetized because we're being too sloppy with the wordage we're using. I think it's mostly Lou Bass and Justin Pedini, though.
Yeah,
might be me. Comedy. Sorry.
Hey man, I got a pretty funny joke for you. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna have any humor to it. Just imagine me saying all of the words that are most likely to get a video demonetized in a row with no attempt at a punchline. Just imagine even that I was actually bold enough to do such a thing.
Did they tell you whether or not it was like a part with Pedini or somebody, or? Like they don't really tell you that.
It doesn't tell you what it is.
Man.
But
you
you're
don't
not
know
allowed
if it
to
was the
swear?
little bits of live footage in the vegan Christmas Carol adventure.
Oh, man.
That whole video was insane.
Yeah, that was a pretty good video, wasn't it? Padini, he makes those fun, man. He does, honestly. Like
When you're like, I agree with this message, and I'm feeling bad about it, but I'm also laughing at the same time because of the format that it's presented in.
How cringy it is, and how like it's like the only word that I could really think of was fever dream. It was just very bizarre experience.
And it's like it's like our culture, or a part of our culture, viewed through the lens of like a really, really East Asian, right?
Yeah.
I guess like somebody who's been steeped in Buddhism for pretty much all of their life. How they would view just like some Americans hanging out and getting drunk at a party.
Yeah, the edgy little like Spider-Man 3, like, you know, Peter Parker turns emo kind of thing, where he's just eating alone and then he starts like rapping randomly. Like that was
the best Spider-Man for sure.
Yeah.
When he had the emo hair, it's all like black hair, and he's dressed in all black.
Yeah. Yeah, that like super edgy, like
at a vegan restaurant in Hollywood.
She's Vietnamese. I just looked up the Supreme Master's Wikipedia page.
Supreme Master?
Vietnamese-born British spiritual leader.
Dude, she's like the leader of 500,000 people. That's huge. Or 500 million people.
Really?
Like, she's a big fucking deal, dude.
That's crazy.
The guy who made that video? That goofy video you showed us?
The Supreme Master, like, she is like revered by 500 million people. I mean, that's 1/14 of the planet that listens to and respects that woman. That's pretty huge when she's calling out animal factories and saying not to hurt animals. That's helpful, you know.
She's like,
I know.
She's like one
I
of
know
the
a
biggest
guy in Southern
televangelists
California
in Buddhism.
that runs a vegan burger joint, and he plays the Supreme Master TV in his restaurant.
Yeah, the guy,
really?
my buddy,
What if he does it Vinloy?
my Mexican friend who runs he runs
Jeremy,
a
why
restaurant
don't
called
you have
Style Vegan.
a camera yet?
I thought about using it on my phone. Is gonna be more of a hassle, but yeah, I mean, I'm getting ready to go to Korea pretty soon, so
Yeah,
I'm
you've been saying that for like 2 months, dude.
Well, I have
It's a long flight.
It's fucking immigration, man. It's government. But when I'm in Korea, I'm gonna have a desktop set up. So yeah, I'm gonna be buying a webcam for that. But
yeah, but you're gonna be awake when we're asleep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's right. You get weird sleeping hours, don't you?
No, it'll be you're doing this at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like either 9 or 10 a.m. on Saturday morning in Korea.
Oh shit! You're gonna get up
the
in
next
morning.
day. It's 16 or 17 hours forward. So Saturday morning, you
As
know,
you're whenever you wake up in the morning, we'll be on,
if I don't stay out at if I don't hit the pub on Friday night, I should be able to be up for this time on Saturday morning.
So what's Korea? That's 14 hours ahead, isn't it? Isn't that real close to the Philippines?
You know, either 6, depending on daylight savings time, either 16 or 17 hours ahead of California. So, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know where you're at, what state you're in, but
I'm in Minnesota, so I'm about 2 hours over. So yeah, we're pretty close.
Yeah, that's right. 14 hours ahead of you, right? What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So you guys know Gangnam Style, right? Big
Gangnam
viral
Style.
video. Yeah, don't pronounce it like the English word gang. It fucking pisses me off because if you listen to the song, you can hear it that he doesn't sing it that way. I'm like, what the hell? People just reading the name that don't even listen to the song. But it's pronounced like more like the English word gong, like bang a gong, right? Gangnam Style.
You don't Gangnam Style.
Gangnam is
It's Gangnam.
It's a new wealth neighborhood of Seoul. It means south of the river, and it's like these very like nouveau riche kind of people. So the implication of this song is that like this guy wants to be part of like the rich class, but he has no taste, right? That's the point. He's like a tacky, like fake upper class person. And so my buddy from Mexico, Marcos, his restaurant called Style Vegan is right next to like the Gangnam district office. It's like right in the center of Gangnam. And this is a place where there's a lot of the K-pop industry, right? There's a lot of celebrities going through there, a lot of like producers and stuff. I met these two young guys once
where they just like shit out all these K-pop bands.
I've seen so many people there who I just started talking to, like, I don't know who the fuck you are. And then after they left,
girls there like really want to look Western, so they get all this.
He told me like these guys like do all the music for all the blockbusters. They're like these record producers. They just did Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they're fucking filthy rich. And I was just talking to them like they're just like English teachers like me or something. But one of them's vegan.
Huh?
Brought his friend along. But so Style Vegan, he has the Supreme Master TV going quite a bit too. It doesn't seem like all the time, but a lot of the time. And Marcos is an interesting character, like raised very Catholic, and then converted to Buddhism. And he has a pretty like hardcore interpretation of Buddhism now. Like he's very, very anti-abortion, and
obviously doesn't copyright his shit.
Has these other kind of like
for it.
What's that?
We didn't get dinged for copyright.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're looking at. You can see it now. Yeah, it must have been for the quote unquote comedy segments.
Jeff, you ever been to Nice Guy Burger?
Nice Guy?
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
so.
the guy's restaurant.
Who guy?
I think
in Vegas?
No, in LA.
It's in LA, huh?
Oh.
Yeah, Nice Guy Burger.
We'll have to check it out.
I think there's a few of them.
And to Mr. Charlie's.
I feel like we just saw a Nice Guy Burger vegan place. Where were we?
Yeah, that's our buddy Don. He runs those.
Yeah, Silver Lake.
Oh.
Oh, is that Monty's? Never mind.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
So it's only a single restaurant?
No, there's a handful of them.
Here, come
close
cool.
here.
Yeah, he's a cool vegan dude. He's got a family. Teresa introduced me to him. But he's the one that's got the Supreme Master playing in his restaurant.
Oh,
His burgers are so good. He's got like all the stuff like from all the nasty like the Arby's style ones. Like
oh man, that kind.
And he's
like
strategically putting them right next to all the like fast food chain places.
Well, what's his name? Who's the little short black comedian?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart
Yeah,
just
Kevin
opened
Hart.
up a vegan fast food place on a corner in Hollywood. There's always been like fast food places. He took one of them over and made a vegan place, which is pretty fucking awesome.
What happened to
clearly Kevin Hart knows that you can't just be vegan, you have to be an activist also. So that's pretty dope.
I really didn't know
what happened to
that he was
Jaden Smith's food carts? Weren't those mostly around
I've
LA?
never seen them. They probably just came out for like VIP events and shit.
Food carts.
Yeah,
I feel
LA
like that shit's gonna
doing
take
pretty
off.
Feel like what's gonna take off?
The Kevin Hart's restaurant. I if I recall correctly, I believe it's called Heart House.
Yeah.
Heart
That's it.
House.
It's just a little
you
fast food thing, from what I hear.
No, it's a whole big ass. Like it took over like an old Burger King.
Yeah, a fast food restaurant. That's what it is. It's a fast food thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you guys
he's
had
done
these
a
yet?
couple of them
Right now,
now.
holy
hasn't he?
shit, man, I'm hungry.
Oh yeah, Snyder's.
Hot Buffalo.
Yeah, that's
These are vegan.
that's one of my go-to junk foods. Like I used to eat that
These
before
are
I was vegan, and then yeah, those are
Insanely
good.
They're
You guys
so
are brave.
good. Yeah, I'm down for some processed food.
You know what?
That's funny. You're a fucking athlete, brother. And you eat like that? And then my buddy, I have another buddy. He's a professional biker. His name's Christian. You've met him now. And fucking,
Christian's dope. I like that guy. Me and that guy are buddies now.
Well, yeah.
He's cool.
My college roommate, who's a distance runner, an ultra marathoner, he eats like fucking shit. He eats at El Pollo Loco and Popeyes
does El
and
Pollo
shit.
Loco.
Like virtually
Dude, does El
every
Pollo
meal.
Loco still have the vegan chicken?
No,
I don't know. I've never been in one.
Taco
since
Bell
I've been
has
vegan for a long time.
vegan
before.
nacho cheese now.
No, I think it was a limited time. They don't have it anymore.
Limited areas. They don't have it in my area. They even got rid of Fresca style around here.
What?
Taco
in my
Bell? That's
county.
insane.
Yeah, so I just
Taco Bell's the shit.
I just get bean burritos and like add black beans to it and stuff.
No, you
like
get
that.
the cheesy bean and rice burrito, but you get it fresco. Then you add lettuce and grill it, and
They
it's like
took
a
out
buck.
Fresco.
It's $1.60
Yeah.
each. They're like so cheap, and you could put like jalapenos or all kinds of stuff on it. That shit's dope.
You gotta make sure
No,
the
we
people are
got a local chain here called Taco Tree that has veggie burritos that all you have to do is get no cheese, and then they by default they have black olives, they have good like romaine lettuce instead of iceberg.
Yeah.
And it's pretty go to now that Taco
No, there's a
Bell
lot of
got
vegan
rid of
places in
Fresco
Hollywood
around
these
here.
days. It's wild, but it's all really expensive, like really expensive.
Yeah, I'd like to see the price.
We went to this place Crossroads. We went out. Someone took us out to Crossroads. We ate at Crossroads, and it was like $600 fucking dollars. Like,
jeez,
crazy
God damn.
for like food and drinks. Like, it's all really good stuff, but it's like just too fucking expensive. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I won't even spend like $20 going out anywhere to eat.
No, I was like, I was like, never fucking doing that again, ever. Not for, it's just, it's wild.
Yeah, that's nuts. I don't know.
I'd rather
Yeah,
just
I
have
would
some
do that.
rice and broccoli.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
Sauce.
high labor prices.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
and
rice,
it's
guys,
Like the
because, like,
ingredients
people-
are dirt cheap.
And like
Yeah.
no one that worked there was even vegan. Like, it's like, really?
Oh, no.
But it used to be like super vegan, like everyone used to be. But now that it's a chain, like it's just normal people are getting jobs there, and it's just like it's not as cool.
I kind of
gonna tune out
wonder
this
that
way.
sometimes with vegan restaurants, like whether these people are vegan. Because it doesn't come up when you're like, going to these places. You're just like going there as a normal like patron to a restaurant. So you don't ever like, I don't know, get into that
Like if
conversation.
whether you're supporting a vegan or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's this place Vinloy here in LA, little Vietnamese place. The dude's fucking rad, super vegan. He's always making videos and shit. He's got celebrities going in there. He always takes pictures with celebrities. It's pretty funny. Yeah, have you been to there's a place called Doomies that's like vegan junk food.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like
I was just
lot
talking
of-
about Mr. Charlie's. You been there, man? It's
Mr.
only
Charlie's.
it's in San Francisco, a couple locations, and LA, like a few locations.
Wow, no, I
It-
haven't
it-
heard of that.
It's copied the colors and the basic scheme of McDonald's, and like completely imitates
Charlie's.
the basic McDonald's menu.
It's like McDowell's.
It's vegan McDonald's, just like hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, McChicken,
Like
and
McDowell's.
and
McDowell's. You know what
Frosty
McDowell's
Burger.
is?
Oh, the Eddie Murphy movie. That
Yes.
shit was
Coming to America.
Right. Coming to America.
Coming to America.
I was thinking Burger World from Beavis and Butthead, where they just turned the M.
The
upside
world. Yeah, the world.
down. Beavis and Butthead is
Fucking
back, man. The fucking icon.
Dude,
for my
watching, you gotta
generation.
watch
New
Coming
Beavis
to
and
America
Butthead.
again. Now that you have open eyes, you have to watch Coming to America again. There's low key British colonial propaganda in that movie. All the black people are trying to emulate British royalty in that movie. It's really weird. Like, to, you know, once you have your eyes open, you watch old Hollywood movies, you're like, holy crap, this is propaganda. You know, like you could see whatever was political going on at the time. You know, you could see Hollywood trying to like mold people's minds about it. But there's a lot of,
I don't know if what Contrarian is saying right here is true.
What's that?
I'm the more hardcore vegans get, the more likely we are to make our own meals. I mean, I'm a real home chef kind of guy, but as a home chef, I love going to amazing restaurants when they come up.
See, I cook all my own stuff because I'm cheap. So like most of my meals are like from scratch, just throwing together a bunch of stuff. And it's got me a lot of experience cooking too. So, you know, I know my flavor profiles pretty well. I know what I like, and usually other people end up liking it too when they try it.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit.
But most of the vegans I know in Korea, they're like really happy with my food and wishing that I could make it for them all the time. But they don't want to have to cook. A lot of them have extremely busy jobs, you know.
You ever consider trying to open your own restaurant or something?
I think I might be able to manage like some of these guys, some expats in Korea that do like delivery only. Like they do prepared meals, and then on certain days or certain limited times they deliver them. But nah, because I like being car free and stuff too. And no, I'm good being a home chef and like kind of supporting the best restaurants, getting the word out about them.
Yeah. I used to work at this like apple processing factory, and there were these Mexican people that would just straight up sell like tamales and stuff out of the back of their like vans and cars and stuff. And I started thinking about it, I was like, that's actually a really smart way to like just make some quick cash if you know how to cook.
Yeah. Around here in California, man, like you drive by all the produce areas where they're selling produce straight off the farm. Most of them have like tamales or other stuff there to lure people in, and then people buy a bunch of fresh fruits and vegetables while they're there. Yeah.
If you can appeal to somebody being hungry right away, you're more likely to be able to sell them on some fruit to take along.
Yeah.
Good strategy.
I'm actually gonna open up a little cart myself, but I'm not gonna do cooked food like you guys. I can't relate with that. I was just gonna do like a raw vegan banana split type thing. My wife, we're in the Philippines, so you could get like a food cart for a couple $100 American, you know, and then I was just gonna do like maybe instead of banana splits, I'd like to freeze the bananas, and you grind them up on the spot, turn them into ice cream, a little bit of maple syrup or coconut syrup, because you could boil down the water from the coconuts, you know, no problem. And we have over 40 coconut trees, so I can get a gallon of syrup, you know, often enough. And I was thinking maybe mangoes. Sweet. Peanuts are pretty prevalent and cheap, you know, so mangoes, peanuts, do a couple different toppings.
Avocados. You made avocado ice cream before?
Oh, that could be good too.
No, that's
oh my god, that's so slept on.
What's
Dude,
that?
avocado ice cream is so slept on. It's super good.
Yeah, it's got good texture. Like it's perfect creaminess.
It sounds amazing. I mean, avocados are fucking creamy and fatty. I bet you it's super addictive with it being that fatty.
It pairs with chocolate
yeah.
so well, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you're gonna make make it with some kind of dark coloring, right? You're probably not gonna try to make strawberry avocado ice cream because of how it'll look, but yeah, it goes great with like dark chocolate.
I have cacao trees, so I mean, it's pretty easy to, you know. Have you guys ever had cacao?
Yeah, I've tried it in a couple forms.
Like not just the actual seed, like the actual fruit. That's a fruit. Did you know that?
Oh no, I haven't tried that yet.
I knew it, but I've never had it. No.
Heard it's really good.
It's. I mean, all fruits are good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite fruit, but it's good enough to try and good enough that I'd be grateful for the opportunity to eat it regularly. You know, I'd say it's as good as an apple or a banana or anything we eat daily. You know, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to.
I'm sorry, Race.
What's that?
What happened?
If we were real vegan chefs, then we'd have all our food for everybody every day.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about so I've thought about the idea of doing some kind of like vegan pop-up just to see if like I could get some recipes out there just to get people curious about trying more vegan foods. But one of the things I was thinking about, kind of in line with your idea, John, there's this thing called like Yo Nanas, I think, and it makes like, you know, it's just a little like grinder, just like for making ice cream. And I was trying it out, and I was like, man, this is really good because they tell you the exact time that you're supposed to, you know, when you freeze it, it has like the little tiger stripes or whatever. It's just starting to kind of brown. And then they tell you exactly the time that you want to start blending it to get the right texture. So I was trying it out, and I was like, man, you could, okay, not only would this be like a delicious treat for like anyone, but like I was also looking at some things for like dog health because I've got a couple dogs that have like teeth issues, little dogs. And found out that erythritol, it's an artificial sweetener that's also antioxidant, and it's good for teeth, and it's also like super antioxidant. And I was like, okay, well, you could mix that Yo Nanas with erythritol and some other stuff and make something that's good for their teeth, but it's also like a nutritious little treat. Be a cool little like dog cup thing you can do.
That's a great idea.
Sounds reasonable.
Hopefully nobody steals that from me now. Oh yeah, that'd be a cool thing just to get out there.
So contrarian about Korean work culture, it kind of is the way that you ask in especially in the big corporations for somebody who's like an ambitious middle management for Samsung or something like that. But for people who are working in ordinary kind of jobs, especially like for laborers or service industry workers, the country has kind of restrictions that are kind of similar to more developed Western countries. It's only a subset of the population that are like more quote unquote upwardly mobile, that have that crazy work culture and feel obliged to go out drinking with the higher ups and things like that. As an English teacher, you know, I'm on a contract where I don't have to work an insane amount of hours, and if I ever do have to stay late, I get really good overtime. So it's not a bad gig. I have more than enough free time to do plenty of stuff in Korea, including activism. You know, I don't really do activism here in the U.S. because I'm way out in a rural area. But when I'm in Korea, I can get to most of the big events going on around the country.
Hell yeah. Well, I suppose, guys, I got my wife trying to message me here, so I'm going to dip out for the night. I hope you guys all have a great night. Thank you for having me.
Have a good night, man.
Good night, dude. See you next time.
Got it.
I'm going to mute myself and only be listening for about 5 to 10 minutes while I make a pizza and stick it in the oven.
Yay.
And then I will be back.
This happens like every show where like everybody just kind of dips out at the same time.
You know what they say about people who make pizza?
What's that?
Like pizza?
What?
Pizzagate.
Oh,
Oh my god.
yeah.
You know what they say about people who order furniture on Wayfair.
That was funny.
That was a crazy little thing that was going around for a while there, and they didn't
A lot
really
of
make
memes.
Oh yeah, and they didn't really make it very assuring that it wasn't going on either. I mean, they didn't do a good job like recovering from that.
They like didn't mention anything. No one talked about it at all. So it's like, ugh. How come this cabinet is fucking $500,000?
Yeah, I don't think any level of like artisanal craft can justify that kind of price. That's sketchy.
That was a early TikTok that went viral. That was like a real early TikTok video that went viral. I saw it was like some girl that was like, wait a minute, and she like had all the pictures above her head doing a TikTok video.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of which, that's a trend that I'm like so sad that became a thing of people, having to put their face on top of like every single video and like reacting. Yeah. It's like they're just sitting there. There's like, making stupid movements. Like, dude, like nobody needs to see your face.
Oh, the quiet ones where it's just like someone making facial expressions.
Yeah, for no reason. They have no business actually even being there. They're just sitting there. Like I was thinking about this the other night. I wanted to make like a something just making fun of that, where it's just like random pictures. Or it's just a picture of me, and I'm sitting there like with like 10 different people, like all frames, just like, yup, that what he's saying.
Did you see all the clips I put out this week?
Yeah, you've been putting out clips like crazy, dude.
Fuck, dude. So there's this app called Opus Clip, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna pull it up and show you. It's so fucking crazy. It's basically like it's basically an AI video editor.
Dude, and YouTube pushes that on the algorithm really hard.
Yeah, so this Opus Clip, it's AI powered video repurposing. Basically, you feed it a YouTube link, and it makes you 30 clips of that video, whatever size you want. It puts the dialogue over it, and then it writes an article about what the story, what you're talking about in the video. It's like, person has very poignant, argument at this point, and like it like writes this story about your video, and then it writes all the best captions and titles and stuff, but you could change it all. So like you could literally feed it videos and it will automatically post them all on your YouTube just nonstop, and you literally don't have to do anything, and it's really good stuff. Like all the titles and all the like stuff, it fills it all in for you, and it's like $20.
Damn,
fucking crazy.
That's not bad. I mean, especially if you can use it to pull traffic, because I saw you were getting like at least like a couple thousand views on those.
I put up like 20 videos, and several of them got 2,500, and like the ones where like I put up Vegan Gains arguing with Garland about Garland with the protein, how protein's protein and it doesn't matter where your protein comes from. And like all the metards showed up for that one, all like, actually the amino acids and the like with the total BS. So, okay, so I'm going to pull this up and show you guys, because this is really, honestly, the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Allie has done most of my editing. She's really good at editing, but, like, editing sucks. Like, it's not very fun. But this thing, and so, like, you can just clip people's shit. Like, okay, hold on. Present, share screen. I'm getting, like, Opus Clip. Okay, so, can you see it?
I don't see anything yet. Just us. You should close those out with like a challenge to debate people at the end of it.
Yeah. So this is Opus Clip. We go in here to the stuff credit usage history. So it'll let you do one for free. but you have to buy like the time, like you got to like buy credits basically. So here's my Garland. So this is the Garland video. This is the clips that it made.
Okay. What's the time on the right there?
I gotta go.
That's how many minutes I have left of video that I can get till I have to buy more.
Oh, no,
So,
I mean,
unlock the power of soybean protein, a global analysis. The beginning of the video effectively catches the audience's attention by presenting a visual representation of protein extraction. However, it could benefit from a brief, like tells you how to make a better video, basically. And then it writes down everything that you say in the video. And if you like it, and this one, and then it grades the videos that it makes. So it shows you first the best video that it thinks you should post, and then it goes down from there. But you can edit and just post immediately from here, and it's like all these. It's so cool.
Yeah, it seems really smart. They probably make good use of like the data mining that they do, and it actually turns out to be beneficial. So you can like pull people in.
I've just been making less than minute ones for shorts on YouTube, but it's like you can make longer ones, and like it just like it does it in like 5 minutes, and you just have 30 clips like really quickly.
Man,
like this is, but it doesn't know, like so it it made several videos where like kind of Garland's points, like so it was like it doesn't know that it needs to make videos for me, like. So it like made this one, these two dipshits talking about metard stuff.
Okay.
So it shows the caption, and it kind of pops around like and it's like YouTube where it looks for you smiling, or you could put in parameters. You could put in what words it wants you to clip around. So if you have like a long video and you want it to clip around wherever you said vegan, it'll do that. So it's really cool. Really cool app.
I can see that being really useful for a lot of things. Like if you want to take like excerpts out of, or, parts out of videos that, aren't yours, but you want to use it to make a point, you could get that like quick little clip without having to sit there and edit it and wait for it to render on your computer and all that. 'Cause that takes a long time.
There's a Garland here asking who the heck is Garland Farms.
I just saw that.
Garland Farms is a YouTuber who is an anti-vegan YouTuber that I've debated and destroyed. But yeah, I think his last name is Garland, JD Garland.
Yeah. Have you heard anything?
Yeah, this app is pretty sick. It's like it's not super cheap because it's like $20 for 2 hours. So you can't like go crazy and just be like clipping like nuts, because it does, and if you're clipping onto YouTube, $20 on it takes a long time. It takes a lot of views to make $20 on YouTube. So you kind of have to like, but it did get me a lot of views over the weekend. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty useful.
And as far as like doing activism, this is, if it's really easy to just like clip other people's shit and just make shorter, better, more poignant videos with this app. Like all these other YouTubers, like they just have so many hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of shit.
Yeah.
I always hate that when like people I like who are content creators just like just dilute their message by doing too much stuff.
They bury their own work essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what kind of kills me with all the Mark Passio stuff, because he makes that point that like any of his newer podcasts, you need to be caught up by going back from like episode 1 up, and they're all 2 hours, and so like you literally, unless you're skimming through and the parts that you're supposed to see, it's like you're spending potentially like 200 hours.
I can't get through 5 minutes of that guy talking. Never able to. I've tried so many times, and it bums me out because everyone likes him so much, but I can't. Some people like there are some people I can watch.
Where'd you go?
Him being aggressive all times kind of boring. Like it's like it's kind of funny at sometimes just because he gets so mad, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I grew up around that shit. I don't want to see that anymore. Like I've tried to get away from that stuff my whole life.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's kind of
all these edgy, like there's this, subgenre of people that's into that, but I can't get 5 minutes into his videos. Just like I can't get through any Alex Jones videos, like I love the guy, but like I can't. His videos online, like him doing his videos is like really boring. Him being interviewed is the funniest thing in the world. Like he's hilarious.
When his personality actually comes out, it's not just the presentation style.
Yeah. Like Alex Jones on Kill Tony is like the funniest shit in the world. Like he's the funniest guest that's ever been on Kill Tony, and he's not a comedian. Like it's crazier.
Yeah, that dude has a cult of personality by himself. Like when he's not being official.
Dude, when he went on like Logan Paul's show, that was also really fucking funny. He just made them uncomfortable the whole time. It was super fucking funny. But he's a goofy dude.
Yeah. He brings up some valid concerns, but then some of it's just kind of, I don't know, a broken clock can be right twice a day kind of stuff that, I don't know, he's pushing people into like a state of fear. So it's hard to consistently take him seriously.
Well, it's like when it's the same thing. Once it's your job, all my favorite guys, I like what they did before they started making money. And it's like once they, quit their day job, I've said this over decades, man. Like you can't, like, I mean, I got lucky because there's 2 times in my life when I was paid to be an activist. That's like rare, like really rare to get paid to be an activist.
Yeah.
But like you can't quit your day job like ever to be an activist. Like everyone's just like, are these like Larkin Roses and like all these dudes. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna have my my fanboys pay for the rest of my life. And they'll like do the bare minimum, like just like garbage content and beg for money all the time.
Yeah.
And it's always pissed me off. Even like Mike Redbar, like Redbar doesn't ask for money. I mean, if you want your shit, you got to come to my website. It's $11. He's not begging for money, running ads like all these YouTubers. They're all, halfway through the video, they're like, oh, and I'm going to sell you some dumb shit you don't need that I've never used that I'm just getting paid to peddle. Like it's always annoyed me when activists quit their day job and start trying to be an activist, try to make money being activism. Because there's only like enough money in activism for like 2 people to make money, especially in the libertarian movement. There was only enough money for 2 people in the libertarian movement to be famous. So it was like Adam Kokesh and like Jeff Berwick, like these scummy dudes, with like a bunch of followers were always the guys getting that little bit of money. But then there's all these several hundred other people trying to grab that money too. And it's like, dude, there's not enough of us around to keep to keep a lot of activists going, unfortunately. Therefore, don't quit your fucking day job and just do it on the side, and like, don't try and make money from it. And if you do get donations somehow, then cool, but like, if it's something you actually care about, you'll do it for free. And people just forget that.
And then you have to be monetizable and everything. If you want to, get along with the people running the platforms like YouTube and all that, the whole monetization issue. Well,
yeah, I mean, you saw how much money I make on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not the most rewarding thing.
It was like 700,000 views. I got like $15.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this app called GrayJ?
What is it?
It's called GrayJ. So, okay, so to kind of walk that back, do you know Louis Rossman, that like repair guy? He's like Right to Repair and all that.
Yeah.
Right. So because he was getting tired of YouTube like screwing with him on a number of things, he decided to like work with some people who are like developing their own little platform. Like it's starting off as like a phone app, but it's eventually going to turn into like a hopefully desktop experience too. But they came up with this thing that's like polycentric, like creators. I guess it's kind of sort of decentralized, I guess. So anybody who has like content on like YouTube or like Rumble and like all these different places, they can bring it all together and have like one common like identity where you can get donations and you can't be censored.
Hey, should we start one of those? Maybe what was that thing you showed me? Like episode 2, I think, that mind.
Oh yeah, the brain.
Should we start one?
I was thinking about it. I think that,
or should I start mine like on the show or something?
Yeah, like that could be useful. I was wondering like the best way to do it, because you know you could link articles for in like scientific studies, or you could like have like debate points.
Okay, then we need to do one just for veganism.
Yeah, that'd be cool
for the show. For the show.
Yeah,
like all the things we talked about on the show. Maybe that's a way we could that'll bring us a little bit of structure. Because we could all do a little bit of homework and find, you know, the studies, the most interesting studies that debunk all these dumb things everyone tells us every day.
Yeah, stuff that
the Inuits were some, you know, healthier than us, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a point I was wanting to like. I mean, because it is kind of a difficult program to like get into, but if you actually have the purpose behind it, you know, it'll start to come together. So it's like if you have this argument piece here where you're debunking something, and it's like, okay, so all the supporting articles, random things you found around the internet, maybe videos, you can put
that might motivate us a little bit more to like bring, just to find a little bit like more content to look at that's very you know, like damaging to the status quo and what everybody thinks is real. I can just go back and look at the past episodes. We can get that stuff together and then like start you know, feeding more stuff into it. And then how do you like, so in order for someone to like go and look at it, what is like someone who would want to go look at ours, how would they do that?
Let's see. So there's you have to have a license, whoever's like running the main one, I guess. There could be something where we could like contribute to some kind of fund or something if we wanted to. But anyway, you get a public link to be able to share it. So anything you do on your like your desktop, laptop, whatever, it'll translate over to the public version. And if there's any like files, I think like if they're small enough, they'll be accessible, or like it'll download stuff. But when you're on the desktop part, you can see everything laid out.
Wow.
Yeah, because I got one that was up to like 60 gigabytes once that had like full like videos. I was trying to learn a couple different things, and like I linked the videos in. I was gonna do like notes and everything.
Yeah.
So you can take it pretty far. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, that might be fun.
Yeah, that
you should like doing the Garland Farms videos. Like we found so much shit. Like we're like, what? Like the studies, looking through the studies was crazy, because we were just like, oh dude, all these guys are full of shit, you know, like, you know, and that was just doing research to one subject, you know. Like, and these guys get away with saying what they say because they aren't, you know, like they're not presenting the big picture.
Yeah, and they're not scrutinized as heavily as vegans are either. People aren't like holding their feet to the fire saying like, where's your truth? Where's your evidence? Because they like the message.
Yeah. No, that's why Garland and Joey, those things happening to me, it was so crazy, because I got two dumb shits to actually agree to sit down in front of me, you know, in front of in a moderated debate with a bunch of people watching. Like, that's like crazy, because like none of these
kind of the
they're just so confident, and it's like, dude, you know, like after clipping me and Joey's kind of discussion that we had, I was just like, dude, this kid showed up with nothing, and then Garland showed up with nothing. Dude, I spent 2 weeks on my opening statement for the second debate. Garland shows up with nothing, just oh well, you know, there's vegans, you know, like it's so crazy.
How many fallacies did he list with you, man? How many times did he say that's a such and such fallacy? Is he
Well,
still,
he kept saying tu quoque, because that's the only logical fallacy that he knows about, obviously, because he's never said anything else, and he strawmans all day. So it's like
tu quoque is like basically what we get all the time from him, right? That's what crop deaths is.
Yeah, no, that's his thing.
Crop deaths though is tu quoque.
Crop deaths though, yeah, like he's literally like, oh, you're
mean,
just as bad as me, so don't give me shit. Like that's
if you're a
literally tu quoque.
deontologist. If you're a deontologist, then it's a tu quoque fallacy to say that somebody else isn't perfect with respect to their own rules. But if you're an ethical consequentialist like me, then crop deaths is just an argument against certain kind of deontological ethics and an argument in favor of consequentialist or utilitarian ethics. I mean, it's not a problem at all. It's crazy. But I've heard him bring up all sorts of other fallacies. The kind of people on the internet who memorize lists of fallacies instead of actually,
you know, he's all, oh, Joey Carbstrong says this, therefore that's what you believe in. That's what he wasted so much time on that bullshit. Just like, well, some vegans say this, and I'm like, well, we're in a debate, dude. Like, you know, attack other vegans shit, you know, when you're in a debate with someone. Like, but it was, you know, anyone who watched that, you know, like there's, you know, like there were even, you know, like meat eater people that were like, oh, Garland is like intolerable, and it's like, yeah, he is. Like,
I don't know if people like either don't understand that veganism is a broad social justice movement or whatever rights movement, culturally progressive movement, or they just they have a very mistaken perception of what those movements have been like historically. Like, would it make sense to them? Would they ever think of asking, like, what do people who believe in like civil rights for Black people think about every specific issue? They know that not everybody's going to agree. They know that some civil rights activists were communists, and some were, you know, various forms of atheists, and some were Protestants. Yeah. Many of them were even ministers, like MLK. Like, they're not gonna agree on every issue.
Yeah,
they're just part of a movement to end one kind of.
Well, that's what the whole two-party thing. The two-party thing is brainwashed into this, like, you know, where people can't handle disagreeing with a single thing with someone else, you know, like they can't handle it. And, you know, like, it was funny, like this summer I was working with my dad on boats up in Northern California, and things were fine until he tried to pitch communism to me. He didn't understand how well versed I was at arguing communism. And I was like, wait, Dad, so you want to spread, like, you know, like what did I tell him? It was something funny, but it was just like the second I shot him down, he just like shut right up, and then like it was like completely different after that.
It's pretty hard to be an ethical consequentialist and effective altruist, and in that movement of believing in collective responsibility for all sentient beings around us, and focusing on the suffering of the worst beings, the farmed animals, but then after that also the humans who are worst off in the world, and also being a libertarian, because I believe that markets are far and away the best way to coordinate complex societies, right? It's
you don't believe in the non-aggression principle, Jeremy. No. You aren't a libertarian.
See, that's the thing. I get that's exactly what I get from vegans too. I don't believe that it would be wrong for me to eat one chicken nugget if it would end all factory farming forever. so they'll say I'm not a vegan, and I just think they're idiots if they wouldn't take that amazing trade-off. It would be evil. It would be evil to not eat one chicken nugget if it could end all factory farming. It would be
Who says that?
It'd be the most freaking deontologist.
I'm like the most extreme vegan I know. I don't have any crazy vegan friends. It's weird.
David Arenas.
Who's he?
He's a crazy deontologist.
I mean, Allie's
who's
the
prominent in
craziest
the
vegan I
movement.
know.
But
Allie's like hardline fucking
no,
like flying sidekicks.
So what I'm saying, man, is that yeah, it's very hard to get on both sides, you know. People
like I don't hear people saying shit like that. I'm usually
when
the
I
one saying
identify
crazy
myself
shit
as
like that.
libertarian, there's so many libertarians who think it means that the belief that you shouldn't politically steal from people to subsidize other people. They think it means that you shouldn't morally suggest that people effectively donate to other people, and those aren't the same thing at all. But there's plenty of libertarians who are like connected to this ethical egoist kind of perspective who think because I'm a libertarian, I'm going to say like I'm only looking out for number one in my life, which is insane. And then, but then it's also insane when I'm among like a vegan, especially like effective altruist type people, and I'm talking about doing the most good for the most number, then they just assume that means like some kind of socialized central planning or like massive
Of course it does.
redistribution by the government. And well, it means redistribution by individuals proactively thinking about how they can do the most good with their money. You know, that's what EA is all about, coming out of you know, of newish tech money. It's a fundamentally voluntarist movement about, you know, convincing people to make the most rational and empathetic choices. It's not about empowering the state, and that's why the fucking statists are so pissed off about it. That's why there have been so many articles recently in major media trashing effective altruism, because, you know, it correctly identifies that people dying of malaria and malnutrition is a bigger problem than like not enough already privileged Black Americans from the upper middle class getting into elite universities in America. You know,
how many people are dying from malaria? I actually had that pop in, like someone.
A lot.
Are there? Like, and like someone hit me up. Someone said something.
It's hard to measure because of the indirect deaths.
Like, are billions of people still dying in Africa too?
Yeah.
Like, is that still a thing?
It's
No, I
hard.
don't know.
It's
Like,
hard to. It's hard to.
They all be dead by now? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. So I mean,
You can only starve so long.
The main Wikipedia result that comes up is yearly 249 million cases leading to 608,000 deaths.
Okay, so not billions, not millions.
Well,
'cause I lived in Nicaragua.
It doesn't compare to factory farming of animals, but 76% of the deaths are children under 5 years old. You know, it affects young children and the elderly. Well, basically,
and just like
it's not the kind of disease that you either beat and develop immunity to or die. It's the kind of disease that you can get many, many times. You know,
it's like a soft kill type thing.
Gradually wearing down your body, you know.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of indirect deaths resulting from the, you know, the.
Well, I lived in Nicaragua. They had like
lingering
dengue
damage
and chikungunya and dengue fever.
Yeah.
But that was the second most impoverished place in the world, and there weren't like people starving everywhere. You know, like where it just. When the person said it to me, I was just like, I just heard like a Karen from the 80s saying that, and it like being propaganda. Like, I don't know, maybe call me ignorant, but when I hear stuff like that, it's like, is that really like, I don't know.
So it's
Yeah,
those things
I mean, I
that
think
people
there's
don't really
people
ever
in
back up.
What's that?
there's people in towns. There's people in towns that have windows that can seal off their home. Yeah, and they like, because of all sorts of misgovernance and just lack of infrastructure in Africa, they don't tend to be able to do much or care about the people who are living rurally with open windows, and just being exposed to mosquitoes whenever they're in bed.
Yeah, it's same way in Central America. Everyone has open houses, open roofs, like nothing's closed in. But it was weird. I was there 5 months and I got bit by one mosquito once. But I was walking in San Juan del Sur with my daughter, and I saw this huge fog coming towards me, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I see this dude with this giant steel can fumigating, and I'm like, and I turn around. I was running with had my freaking 11-month-old like running through the city, like trying to get away because they were like fumigating for the mosquitoes, but they use they like superheat diesel fuel, and they spray they put this pesticide in it with the diesel fuel. They mix it and they spray it everywhere, just like people are eating and shit. They're just spraying it everywhere, and I was like, holy shit. But yeah, they're like, but I didn't see any mosquitoes, like,
Yeah, in Korea they just drive trucks down the street fumigating. And they have like a loudspeaker or whatever announcing them coming, but they just spray it. And you see like the convenience stores and the restaurants with their outdoor seating, and then the pesticide just settles all over the tables.
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody ever really talks about that. The layer of chemicals and stuff that gets left behind on everything. And yet people are just doing this like indiscriminately without even thinking about the consequences.
Yeah.
It's like that it's like that one God, they talked about this in one of those vegan documentaries a while back. But that one that I just shared recently, the They're Trying to Kill Us one, they brought up that point again about like pig farms, how they'll do that thing to like make somebody feel unwelcome in like a neighborhood, kind of a race issue, I guess. But they'll like spray out like the pig feces water like all over the area, and it just the smell just permeates everything. It's like that kind of stuff is inconsiderate.
That's gross. Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate to live in that kind of an area. Makes me glad I'm not around that kind of agriculture.
Yeah, well, we do. When I did the Joey discussion thing, I went in there with a bunch of facts about factory farm, like psychologically, and for like the cities that live around it, people living around it. It was pretty shocking. They like essays went up around, like whenever they build one, like domestic violence and essays would go up greatly, and like
what are we talking about here, Jeffrey? Sorry, I took my pizza.
Concentration camp, factory farm workers.
Oh, and, right. Okay. Yeah.
Putting, when they've done studies of like a town before and then after, factory farms go there, and like what happens to, as far as like, bad things happening with the people that work there. And
have you heard there was this
mental health issues coming up from the workers working there. And it's just like, okay, guys, like no brainer here. If this is the diet we're supposed to be eating, how come people are getting mental health problems from working in the industry? Like that would be completely goes against, like basic logic, like, come on, guys.
We should be natural born killers if that's the case.
Yeah. We should all have no problem killing and not shedding a tear and not having it cause mental health problems. Like these are people that are slowly going crazy because of the things they're doing and seeing. It's called what's it called? Something guilt. Offenders guilt, perpetrators guilt, or something.
PTSD from as a perpetrator.
Yeah, BPSD. Perpetrator. It's PTSD from being a perpetrator of something you knew. Yeah, it's like pretty crazy.
Have you guys seen the talk from Vegan Camp Out? This veterinarian who's her brother was murdered by a slaughterhouse.
Oh yeah.
He was
Like in a
murdered
bar, like a guy stabbed him. He
was
stabbed
murdered in the method that they use for slaughtering pigs.
He stabbed him.
Like he stabbed him.
Cut his throat.
He slashed his throat with the same motion that those workers regularly use.
Yeah, gnarly.
Muscle memory at that point. Like,
yeah.
At a certain point, you can't blame them, but that's a condition of, like, obviously we're not supposed to be doing these things.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I don't know. I think, I think we would be stepping in the right direction, trying to set up some structured thing with that brain program and just like all of the little points, not just like debate points, but just interesting little factoids and stuff about, like there's probably a lot of details you could find on instances of people getting PTSD and violence and all these different types of things increasing because of that. Like we were talking about, we could probably make a pretty good case for that and like make like a really nice refined presentation on it. Be like, look, this is all you need to know here.
Yeah.
Well, Braxton, that's why we're going to be taken over by China, like that one guy told Earthwing Ed.
Yeah.
We're gonna lose our killer instinct.
Fight the Chinese.
We're gonna not too physically weak, but he was arguing that we're gonna lose our bloodlust.
Oh, that's right.
So when they invade, we're not gonna be able to muster up the manliness to fight back.
All Americans hunt.
Yeah. This is where you can kind of give them credit. Any of the carnivorous meat eaters, it's like at least if you have killed, you're going to be a little more of a, if communists ever do invade, they're not going to have very good luck. All the red-blooded Americans with their guns,
all the rednecks.
Yeah, gonna be some of our best assets if that ever does happen.
On the other hand, working together and caring about others beyond yourself is a pretty vital skill for mobilizing a population to defend itself.
Yeah, you only lose that shit in cities, though.
Yeah.
Big cities suck.
I guess that's often true, yeah.
Because that's, with all the like 15-minute city talk and all that kind of stuff, that is a little concerning because I've seen some stuff like visiting around like Seattle, just seeing some of the updates they've done since I lived around there. It's like, yeah, you guys are getting a little too like technocratic, a little too like authoritarian. It's kind of creepy.
No, it's not tell you like moving to Nicaragua was like you move there and you're just it's so small. It's no really, really small that you feel like you're a part of the community immediately when you get there, and you naturally want to help the community. And like I broke down on my motorcycle one day, like 8 miles outside of town, and these dudes stopped like off the highway, and like bro had a car and was like, oh, let me call my brother, and he called his brother, and his brother showed up with a truck and drove me back, and I tried to pay him and they said no, and I'm just like, geez, like this place is crazy. Like I was just every day I had like some crazy like what the hell, like this is so different here.
You know what though, man? In Korea, even kind of in the mid-sized cities, not really in Seoul, but even in like a larger town or a smallish city, people are a lot more, culturally supportive. It reminds me more of my very small town in California than like any city in California. How people do feel like they're part of the same culture, even in the city of 100,000 people or something like that. And level of trust there and the level of just looking to like what you can do, and just what you just it's a skill set, like to solve problems without needing to turn to police and lawyers and official
getting paid.
I mean,
well, in like down there,
how can we work this out
like,
right here? How can we solve this problem? You know, not how can I defeat you. Like your first reaction if a a restaurant messes up your order or something like that, to an American, it's kind of to act like you're in lawyer mode and start, you know, dressing them down and completely destroy the social bond and just defeat them verbally. Where in Korea, it would be everybody trying to work things out, everybody trying to smooth things over and solve the problem.
Yeah, and it's like down there, it was like, I mean, we call it in poverty, but I don't really see it as being poverty. But like these people have like dirt floors and shit, you know, and like they're constantly helping each other. So it's not like people aren't like, oh, my time's so valuable. It's like the neighbor lady needs food. You need to give her some food. You know, like everybody.
You're putting into my time to sit on my ass.
It's life or death. It's not life or death for us here in LA, you know, like it is for them down there. So it's like people are just so much nicer and happier down there. Like my friends in the Hollywood Hills are like suicidal, but my friends in Nicaragua with dirt floors and a black and white TV are like happier than anyone I've met in my life. So it's like, is that poverty really? Like who's impoverished? Like, you know, who's the one who's impoverished?
That's what I wanted to say to Contrarian's question about Korean hyper work culture. You know, that's a percentage of the population. These like salary men really trying to like make it big in these corporations, and they've got the nicest homes and foreign cars and stuff, but they're the least happy people. But then there's this other subset of the population who work a quote unquote low status job, but then they go home and they have time to spend with their kids, and they have time to cook traditional meals, and those are fairly happy, well-adjusted communitarian sorts of people in my experience.
I was walking through town one day and this car almost hit this dude, white dude, and the white dude like screamed at the guy in the car, and the guy in the car jumped out and was like, "I'm sorry," and gave the guy a hug. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's not, I've never seen something like that in my life. Like, it was crazy. But like, they don't have time for drama down there because it's life or death. You know, like they don't have much food. Like, it's a problem that we don't have here. So we just take it for granted. What's up, dude? Long time no see.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Good.
Blessings, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for the link. Did you see the drop?
Yeah. So we've been doing this little show. I've been trying to stay consistent with it and do it every week. But
what's the topic?
Anything really. I mean, most of the people on the panel are vegan, but like, you know, we talk about other stuff.
Anybody that wants to come up?
Yeah, anyone comes up usually. Last week we had a bunch of people up. We had like a full house last week.
You have the three Sunnies.
Oh, that's right. No, it was three. Yeah, it was three. The three Sunnies over and over again.
That was nuts. Three Skrillex, like not lookalikes. They were all calling themselves Sonny Moore, and then there was a whole little like history moment that happened there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was funny.
A lot of
we were just winding down.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your link, so I was just like, hey, I'll say what's up.
Yeah,
cool, man. You think about coming up?
I'm not sure exactly. We might be. I mean, I don't know. We're like either going to the southwest or the north, and we're like trying to figure out which one we're gonna do. But but we haven't figured it out yet. Like yesterday, I was about to buy this gold mine in where was it? Remember where it was? Oh, Bridgeport. You know where Bridgeport is?
Yeah.
I almost bought this dope mine there, but I didn't get it. I didn't win the bid, the auction. But
like
at some
Bridgeport,
point,
like by the Yuba River,
yeah,
dude. Yeah, the Yuba River is like
a lot of gold in the Yuba.
It's the reason that I stay in California. It's like it's magical.
That's cool. That's
so
cool.
So what have you guys been talking about?
What have we been talking about?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And like.
So you need someone to be adversarial. That's what I was saying.
No, Lou Bass shows up usually every time.
Oh, he does.
Joe Cool comes by. But yeah, Lou Bass comes and talks all kinds of shit and gets my videos demonetized.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you know, he's playing he's trying to be funny, you know, but like he just says too much things that YouTube doesn't like.
Controversial grease pig stuff that he does.
Metard stuff.
Yeah, we always have good fun when he comes up.
Yeah. He's trying to say he's lost a bunch of weight and shit.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with everything with it. What you're doing, but I mean, I do actually. I mean, I do have a push and pull with. You make a lot of good points, man. So I'm not a hater on that.
Yeah, that's cool.
For mostly what you do, so I think you like your adversary is Justin Bedini, right?
I'm surprised he's come on the show the last 2 times, but he just fucking embarrasses himself. It's hilarious.
He's trying to do his stand-up routines.
Yeah,
always working on it.
The goofiest stuff nonstop. Like, what are you even seeing? But I have to like keep that dude at arm's length.
Where'd I hear that?
He's too frustrating of a person.
Dude, so today I had I guess I finally had my, like, the whole thing was that, like, I had my battle with Paul, and it was like an hour.
Oh, did you guys break up?
Well, I mean, I kind of quit. I had kind of quit watching him for like a while just because of just the negative energy and the haterade and shit for whatever. So I had kind of like distanced like myself.
It gets old.
Like I kind of like, I don't know. I just felt I don't know. You know, if you just don't feel it and you can kind of see through some things or whatever, it's the same rap every day and. I don't know, and I wasn't even talking shit about him or anything, but like he come and found me, and then he was disparaging me and talking mad shit, assuming a whole lot of things about me and my family. I'm like, dude, you don't know my family, bro. It's like,
that dude just throws blind punches.
Yeah,
like.
And he made a bunch
punches
of
into the dark, hoping he'll hit something.
Yeah, he made a bunch of assumptions that were like absolutely false, and I'm like, and then they kept muting me, like OTW kept muting me, and I was like, that's not true. Why am I taking like advice from someone that has no relationship with their family at all? And I have my dad and I are super close. My mom and I are super close. Like my family and I don't need to take relationship advice from someone that has a terrible relationship with their family. And it was just weird. Like, so, but I got muted. I got put in the back but that was an OTW. They were like kind of ganging up on me. And
All
he was
those guys
talking-
are losers, man.
Yeah, so
I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah,
but
no,
they
it was
really like 9 out of 10 of those dudes are complete, like, not people I would ever want to hang out with, you know, not people you should ever hang out with, like, just not, you know, it was very strange.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem to ever go anywhere.
Huh?
Yeah.
It doesn't always seem to ever go anywhere.
Yeah, diminishing returns. There's just no, after 5 minutes, you already know everything. And then, you know, and it's like, then, like, you know, the whole, like, innate wanting to be a part of a group thing kicks in. And it's just like, you know, and then eventually you're losing out of it, you know? So it's like, you got to just step away.
Yeah, I mean,
not take it serious, not take it anything that happened to heart, because those people don't have any idea about anything and they're completely taking punches into the dark. And, you know, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I kudos to you guys for like walking away and just never coming back. So like like some like some of the people will get sucked back into the drama, but you guys I guess never did. So
no,
Good-
there's no reason.
Yeah.
Never really got anything out of it. And, you know, definitely learned some stuff, but not like anything that gnarly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is this on
Alex,
YouTube or Facebook?
This is YouTube.
Okay, gotcha.
StreamYard's YouTube.
I was gonna say the one thing good that did come from that was Ali had a pretty cool little platform going where you guys are doing that, you know, that other podcast.
That was fun.
That was good to listen to. I was driving a lot back then, like doing work, so I could always have that on the background, try to participate when I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
gotta get going on that
sometimes there's some good shit. Because his rhetoric, he's like very articulate and stuff, but at the same time, it's like you kind of see a pattern with the bullshit. So,
you know, it was very obvious. The whole, you know, it was all very obvious, and you know, I'm not surprised you're not over there anymore, because you know, most people leave and don't have a reason to come back.
yeah. Well, yeah, we had a thing today. That was the first time ever, and I was like, because I never just do panels at all, and so after that, he called me out, and I was like, I wasn't gonna run, so I just went up, and it was like straight like an hour of just me and him back and forth, and there were some people in the chat that were like, you know, high five Jeff for standing up, and some people that were just the cult members that are just talking shit. So it was just like. But we kind of reconciled, so I just left it on good terms. But at the same time, I just, you know, I have my views about life. Like, I'm a grown ass man, so I don't need some other person to tell me how to live.
Yeah, especially when it's a bunch of weird shit.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway,
And like, you know, like
I didn't come to talk shit or you know, gossip or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how we kind of know each other. So I was just checking in with you. And plus, maybe you'll come up in the next couple weeks or something. So
yeah, man. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, it's been 2.5 hours. I think we're probably gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, shit. I got a lot of cleaning to do. Everybody's gone at my nephew's basketball game down the hill.
Interesting.
I'm gonna so all the
Wait, are you guys? Jeremy's in NorCal too.
My town's called Forest Hill. It's outside of Auburn.
Okay.
The bridge over the American River. You know,
Yep.
Forest Hill. There's a pretty famous high bridge over the American River confluence where they
it's
filmed
a-
the
it's a- X. Or
triple X
Triple
when
X,
when he jumps the car off the bridge and then parachutes out of it.
Yep.
Sick.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm about like 40 minutes away from there. So.
Cool.
Yeah, me and Allie have a friend in Auburn. Auburn's cool. That whole area, I have not hung out there enough, and I like it a lot up there. All the gold stuff and lots of bike riding.
Epic.
Really close.
That's
to
the best gold in the world. Yeah, the Yuba is full of gold still.
Yep.
You just have to dredge it out with a giant dredge.
My ancestors are on my dad's side, my dad's side, are from
prospectors?
from the gold rush. Yeah. Well,
Sick.
my pretty like large scale miners
Really?
in Sierra County.
Sick.
It's now the main town they're from was called Howland Flat. It's now a ghost town in the this state park area of Sierra County, past LaPorte. You might have heard of that if you're into gold. Yeah, on
LaPorte, there's gold everywhere up there. Coarse gold and
my ancestors' graves are up there. Different people have preserved the graves decently, and there's a great place to camp way out in the middle of nowhere.
Allie and I did some bike rides up at Bass Lake. That was pretty dope. That was really nice up there. It was surprisingly a short drive from LA. We took the RV. It was tight, but it's so nice up there.
Yeah, Bowman Beach's pretty dope too. Like, it's right on.
What's your town called?
I'm in Grass Valley.
Oh well, shit. I was just down at 49 today at 49 in Elman, Auburn, FedExing my documents to Korea, and I walked along 49 a ways because my dad had dropped me off and couldn't pick me up for another few hours.
Oh, right on, dude.
It's pretty nice. I'm such a walker, but like one of these days I gotta walk from Auburn to Grass Valley next time I'm in the U.S. because that's just what I do. I do like all this urban hiking kind of stuff in addition to like normal hiking up mountains and backpacking and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of the town to do it, man. It's like the Yuba River. Like you can just there's so many fucking like sweet spots, and it's like it's crystal clear. It's like I think that's what kind of like that's what I fell in love with out here. So. But anyways, guys, I just want to say hi, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna peace out too and get started on my cleaning. Nice to see you guys all. I think I won't be like my visa or my documents should be arriving next Wednesday, and then the visa process takes a while. So it might be 3 weeks or so 3 or 4 weeks that
3 more weeks.
I'm traveling and getting fuck man, government, dude.
Oh, cool.
Government.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can't just work something out with an employer and say, hey, this is when I want to start. This is when I can get a plane ticket. You got to wait for all the immigration shit. So, so I'll keep you posted. But the last couple weeks, I should still be here in Forest Hill. So I should
Braxton, how things been?
For videos.
Pretty good. Just that whole group thing that I've been doing. It's been like a huge roller coaster. Like I almost got an opportunity. Well, might be getting an opportunity to actually like make some money just doing what I'm doing with that group. So I'm seeing if that pans out. But yeah, it's just been a little bit of a hectic week. So I'm like all over the place lately.
Is it still snowing and shit?
Oh no, they finally stopped with the cloud seeding stuff. So it's we're getting back to some natural sunny weather.
Did you unfreeze your car?
Yeah, that's unfrozen.
Yeah.
And I just need to be able to afford tabs.
Did you light a fire underneath it?
With my grandma's car, they actually they ended up putting a space heater underneath it and just did it that way. Mine, I just let my car thaw out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Enough sunny days will do it.
Well, all right, man. You should.
I'm
gonna peace out.
Later, Jeff.
Hey, good talking to you, bro.
Good to see you.
Peaser.
Well, wasn't as packed as it was last couple shows, but for next
No,
week.
we went hard. Well, the last 2 shows we went hard.
Yeah,
that was fun.
4 hours and all kinds of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, I had a couple people hit me up that said they wanted to come up, but then they were like in a different time zone. They thought it was like backwards or something. I don't know. But yeah, we should start. We should definitely do the thing with that website because that'd be a lot of fun. Just keep contributing to it and have people come to the chat and drop links to contribute to it.
Yeah, it's that thing that like we could do something pretty ambitious with that if we put enough like time and
I
just.
wonder if there are vegan ones up there already.
I don't know. It's actually a pretty. It's a pretty niche little like community, I guess, because when you look around, like you can see public ones, but not many people are making public ones. So
interesting. Yeah,
it's very slept on. Kind
what
of
would be the point of making not public? Oh, just so you can see all your shit?
Yeah, for your own personal stuff. Because there's this one dude who he made that book, Getting Things Done. It's all about like productivity and all that. And he made one that was like based around his like techniques and all that stuff. So you can use it for your own personal like planning and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, so we might have to get busy doing that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be legit.
All right, dude. We're gonna get out of here. Oh, now there's 10 people watching. What the fuck?
We're late. Yeah, dude, we had an empty house earlier. That was crazy.
Yeah, it started really slow.
Yeah.
That was definitely but I think it's because that's the first time I started the StreamYard thing today. Usually I do it several days ahead of time, and I think YouTube likes that. And so they'll show more people to you if you've done it several days ahead of time. Now 11 people. What the hell?
Everybody's pouring in last minute. Oh yeah, I guess we do tend to have better luck when people are waiting to get notified about it or whatever. It's been sitting up for a bit.
Maybe I'll play a video. I'll let a video play out. But yeah, we'll try and figure out how to do that this week so we can have it. We could do the first thing next week or something.
Okay.
Maybe you can make another thumbnail.
I might be able to. I got a little stressed out trying to find the good face stills and everything last time, but I might be a little better at it this time.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Getting like screenshotting it at the right time.
Yeah, which I do have a pretty good strategy for doing that. Might have to share some of my little tips that I came across. But yeah, I should probably dip out now.
All right, dude. Catch you later.
All right, you guys have a good one. Peace. Take it easy.
Later.
For a Kia Carnival van that has a custom installed self-driving computer that runs open source software.
And man, we are truly living in the future. And if autonomous self-driving vehicles make you uncomfortable, it's so much worse than you think it is. So let's just put on auto drive and plow right through this fucker. Oh my God.
This video is so fucking good.
Mad as savage, me back and I'm back in it, happening, ready to blow. I remember doing deeds with Deji from the street, they left me on my own. Monkey asking me about how I got the P, I told her leave him on my grow. Then they're ringing off my phone.
In 1992, while the rest of us were marveling at Bill Clinton's saxophone skills in Windows 3.1, affluent Japanese drivers were marveling at the Mitsubishi Debonair's ability to tell you if you were leaving a lane or about to hit something. Within a few years, nearly every luxury car manufacturer would release something similar, but it wasn't until 2004 when Toyota's Crown Majesta would actually nudge you back into your lane using steering correction should you drift out of it. The first decade or so of steering correction wasn't too great, as drivers would often find themselves ping-ponging between lanes. But these days, most cars have adopted some type of lane centering and also smart cruise control, which keeps you up to speed with traffic rather than just a speed that you set into it. There are currently 6 levels of vehicle autonomy, or 5 levels. It really depends on who you ask, since this isn't really a formal standard, but generally stage 0 means manual driving. There's no automation with the exception of things like emergency brake assist or electronic stability control. Stage 1 means that there's one automated control, such as lane keeping assist or adaptive cruise control. In stage 2, there are multiple driver assist systems at work, such as lane assist and adaptive cruise control. Despite what marketing campaigns might have you believe, stage 2 is as far as we've gotten for consumer vehicles in the USA. You are still required to keep your hands by the wheel and pay attention at all times and be ready to take over instantly. Stage 3 is when you can kind of do something else, like watch a movie or text on your phone. The only clear laws I could find made about stage 3 are in Germany, and you must be able to intervene or take over the car within 10 seconds of a warning. Stage 4 is where the driver can take a nap or not be present in the vehicle at all. This is where vehicles like Waymo or Cruise robotaxis claim to be when spending millions of dollars on lobbying. In my opinion, no legitimate stage 4 vehicle exists on public roads. Stage 5 is where the vehicle is designed with the intention to not have a driver at all, so there probably isn't even a steering wheel or pedals. So where does Tesla fit into all of this? A decade ago, in 2014, Elon Musk said that Tesla's full self-driving will be 10 times safer than a human driver by the year 2020. In 2015, he said that we'll have full, complete vehicle autonomy by 2017. In 2016, he said that within 1 year from then, you'll be able to drive from LA to New York without ever having to touch the steering wheel, and the car will automatically charge itself at charging stations on the way. So if you lived across the country and wanted to buy one of my guitars, theoretically, I could just put it in the backseat of my Tesla and have my Tesla deliver it to you. Awesome. A year later, when 2017 happened, Elon Musk said that you will be able to sleep in a Tesla while it drives you places by the year 2019. And in February of 2019, he said, and I quote, "We will be featuring complete full self-driving this year. The car will be able to find you in a parking lot, pick you up, take you all the way to your destination without an intervention this year. I'm certain of that. That is not a question mark. And that's not all. He also promised that by 2020, you'll be able to let your Tesla drive strangers around overnight on the robotaxi network and make up to $30,000 a year in supplemental income. Wow, it seems idiotic to not own a Tesla. And now here we are in 2024. It's like a real life live action Jetsons. All of those things totally happened, right? Right?
Tesla's full self-driving beta is stage 2. It's lane centering and some smart adaptive cruise control with a lot of confidence. I'll just be driving along like this, and then every 10 seconds or so, I'll get a message that says, apply slight turning force to wheel, which is my favorite, least stressful thing to do when barreling down an expressway at 70 miles per hour. Don't worry, baby. Autopilot's on. But just the random occasional